voice of the Cayman Islands, Radio Cayman.
We love our listeners.
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
Oh, I think they're doing a great job. A lot of them are.
Good afternoon, Dwayne. How are you?
Not too bad, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today with Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
But I do have some questions.
There are more questions than answers.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. If you're ready to talk, we're willing to listen.
Well, I really enjoy this program today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
May God bless every person.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome, and thank you for joining us. It is indeed a very terrific Tuesday. We got a chance to start things off in a discussion with some gents who are going to share with us their perspective in relation to the port. Hey, stay tuned for Talk Today.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today, the Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program. We ask our listeners to avoid statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use any indecent language or make any statement which is false or misleading. Email Talk Today at candw.ky or call 1-800-534-8255. Courtesy of Flow,
Cayman's #1 network that connects you to your world like never before.
Let your voice be heard. Once again, here's your host, Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome. Thank you for joining us as we invite to our studio Mr. Noel March. Momentarily, he'll be joined by a few of his colleagues, Sean Ebanks and Dave Miller. But for now, Noel, it seems to be the five of us, me and you and, well, Mr. Aid, who else is here? Hey, good afternoon to you.
If you say so, Sterling, I'll take your word on that.
There you go, man. You always watch it, you know. But it's good to talk with you, man. Welcome. Thanks for taking some time off and come and share with us now.
Oh, it's my pleasure. You know, anything that I feel I can do to assist in the betterment of my country, I'm happy to do. I was told about the show and was very happy to join. As I just basically would like to just share my own personal experience because, as we were discussing a little while ago, I don't like to deal in myth and fear-mongering. You know, I just like to deal with what's objective, statistics, my own personal experience, right, and basic sound economics. And where I'm going to talk from is a experience I had with a retail business in Georgetown that had started back in the mid-'90s.
All right. As you continue, just grab your mic, pull it up closer to you, man.
Okay, sorry.
Pretend like a commercial, get a little closer.
How's that sound?
So no, she says that.
All right.
She says it sounds as good as you look.
As long as the listeners can't smell my breath, I'm good.
Too much coffee, man.
All right, let's see what I ate for breakfast.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I had a little business there, right? That my mother and myself started, God rest her soul. A little 1,000 square foot retail business in Georgetown. There were numerous other ones like it. And you're talking a business that, with our growing cruise business at the time, had exceeded $750,000 a year in sales. We were employing 4 to 5 people. Some of them were making $8 to $10 an hour. You know, we only ever had one permit, and it was for a lady who was married to a Caymanian. So I really don't consider that a permit, you know, by all means. Now, that's not too shabby, you know. And after paying them, there's money left over, obviously, for me as an entrepreneur to take and invest and do some other things with. Now, that was when we had Oasis Class. The main reason that I support improving the port facility, the port and cargo facility, is that we need to get back those Oasis Class customers. This is not about getting some ridiculously high quantity. This is about getting quality numbers, right? Consistent and quality numbers. Numbers that can support the figures that I just told you. Currently, the Oasis passes us by every week for the past 9 years. I don't think people realize the impact or the loss that is to our economy. We're talking a ship between passengers and crew spending over $1 million per call.
Now, how do we determine that number? Because we've heard that number.
Yeah, that's BREA, that's statistics, that's PwC, BREA. They can all provide those things. They exist, right?
So we feel that's confident.
Oh gosh, it's based on their calls and other ports, things that exist. These are not like nobody's guessing here.
All right, and the Oasis class, those bigger ships that 5,000, 6,000, 7,000, however many people on board, including crew and the like.
Mm-hmm.
Why do they pass us by?
Because they don't tender here.
Is that their choice, or they can't tender or won't tender?
I'm not sure of how that all works. I just know that they have not tendered here in 9 years, so that tells me that they're not going to tender here.
Okay.
Right? I take after 9 years of it not coming here. So you figure over $1 million a call times 52, right? $50 million plus times 9 years. You're approaching $500 million in loss. Now, my little business that I just mentioned to you there, doing $750,800 a year in sales between 4 and 5 employees, right? That pays. Now, that's 50 of those businesses a year, if you want to divide it up and apply it that way. Okay, times 4 to 5 employees. That's a lot of people paying a lot of bills, Sterling. And the thing is, I'm a realist. Not everybody's going to be a lawyer, an accountant, a doctor, work in the finance industry, right? We need practical jobs with decent barriers to entry that our people can participate in, right? When somebody can work at one job, save up a few $1,000s here and there, and they can get together and start their own little business, right? Get some autonomy, get some pride, that they have their own little ownership. And that is what cruise tourism creates. It creates a constant flow of business, right? And if we can get the berthing, which like I said, the reason I support it is because I want to get back those Oasis class customers because they got deep pockets, right? That's just no bones about it.
Right. You shared something just a second ago that it's not about quantity; it's the quality of the tourists the Oasis class would bring. There are some of the merchants, the retailers, and others who shared that when they have less numbers in port, they have a better experience, they're able to make more money. Is that your general
I would
perception?
Say, through my experience, probably when you exceed maybe 5 or 6 ships in port, that it gets a little crazy. Yeah, I would agree with that. If you have berthing, you have 4 berths. From what I gather from being involved with the port in the past, is that cruise lines will try, if there's berthing available, to schedule themselves so they can have a berth when they come into port. So you may not get a day where you got only 2 in port and another day when you got 6 in port. They may try to spread themselves out because they prefer berthing over tendering. So, yeah, there is a point of, I guess, what you could say diminishing return. And I think in any business, anywhere, that would occur.
Right.
This would allow us to manage the product, right?
With the berth, there are those, and just so that we can understand, because some of us, I think, don't have a full perspective, don't work in the area, don't see. Maybe it's this in some jurisdictions, but there's some who of the view that with a berthing facility, the cruise line can pull up, dock, do this thing, passengers can get on and off as the passenger wants. Is that the case? Just how you would be if
statistics don't show that. Statistics show a higher spend in ports that have berthing.
Fair enough. But
so I don't see where that's a concern. Now, what I will tell you from what I have noticed is that it might create an opportunity for people to say after they go on a Stingray City trip or something, they come back, they're all salt, they've been in the water, but yet they want to come back on shore and do a little shopping, go to a restaurant or something. They are very concerned about not getting back on that ship. With berthing, they may have the opportunity to do that, go clean up and come back on shore and at a more relaxed pace.
How would that work? Because we understand that the berthing part, and just to help me to understand, they get go through a process, get on the ship, go through a process, get into their cabins, get on the ship, whatever they got to do. If they want to come back off, they go through a process and come back on, whether it's berthing or tendering or
I gather there's some sort of customs pre-clearing process that takes place in immigration, to make it as expedient as possible.
Yeah, so they would have to do that each time, you think, to get on?
I'm personally not sure. I wouldn't think so, but I would think that once you're going back on a ship, you at least have to show your ID or something.
Something.
Which is a very simple, thing itself.
And those Oasis class ships, just to help us, because like I said, you're one of those individuals that, as you share, facts and figures, just. Do they we understand that they have facilities either leased or owned by the cruise lines where they pull up to, whether in the Bahamas or other places, and they get on and off. By tender, there are no berthing facilities.
It's probably someplace that they own.
Yeah, so they don't.
They don't own here.
So
so that's not a possibility as far as I see.
All right, but the ships pull up. The big Oasis class, they pull up.
They make that decision. Right. They're the one that owns the $1 billion plus ship, right?
Yeah.
So where are they going to pull it up if they decide to do it someplace? That's their decision, not ours.
Right.
We have to accommodate them. They're the one bringing the customers.
True. Yeah. And then,
like I said, it's been 9 years and they've still not been here yet.
But in those cases, do you know if they have a tendering facility, or is it a docking facility?
I don't know. I've heard something once about someplace possibly in Haiti or something.
Bahamas as well.
Where they might have something like that. But
they built a dock.
All right.
They have a dock now. Okay,
yeah.
Well, there you go.
Well, what about in Bahamas? So that voice joining his friend Noel March is Mr. Dave Miller. What, Dave?
How you
could
doing?
Be mistaken for a celebrity, huh?
You mean a tourist? That's how I learned so much about what's going on.
All right, so we're going to get into the discussion, and thanks for coming in. We know the ships are in, and they're like, but I was just asking Noel, because I like, and talking to him, he always gives me, facts and figures. Some of the people have shared, just generally as information, that the big ships, you call them the Oasis class, those
right.
big ones, that in facilities like the Bahamas, for instance, they have
cruise ship dock facilities.
Yeah, but the islands that they own or lease, that they don't tend, or do they have their docks?
They have docks.
So they don't tender in those islands.
There was years ago when a lot of these ships tender, but people kept complaining, and all the islands wanted the business, so they upgraded.
Right. And the reason
that's why you see it in so many places.
Yeah. The reason I'm asking, because with the greatest respect, just trying to ask
sure.
John, a view and Mary a view, and you got this conflicting view, because I'm told, when in Bahamas they own an island, they pull up, they anchor, the guys get off on a tender and they go aboard. And you're saying, nope, these islands that they own a lease, they have a dock. They
in
pull
Nassau,
up and they dock up.
In the big town area like Cayman,
not in the
dock. But if you go in, there's a new class of ships that have been coming out now that are smaller, and they're going to use Zodiacs. But those are expedition things going to the North Pole, the South Pole, Galapagos, places like that.
All right, well, we're going to hear
not to an island like this, or Costa Maya, or Cozumel, or Jamaica, or Cuba. Cuba is not doing that either. They're doing docks also. Can you imagine? Yeah.
All right, Noel, you were giving us a complete perspective as we got Dave into the conversation. We hear, what they say, the three sides to every story.
Always.
The
truth, the lies, and everything in between that's kind of halfway, going in and out.
I was thinking mine, yours, and Susan's.
So there's a connection that a lot of people don't make here, right? And they talk about these, getting... You mentioned the numbers, right? And they're concerned about having too high numbers. So yeah, I agree. There comes a point where, you have to be careful. Obviously, you want to make sure the numbers are quality numbers and that they're consistent. But the biggest concern here for me, right, is to make sure, because there's such a high participation rate by Caymanians in cruise tourism, and like I noticed because I've worked in it, experienced this myself, that we need to keep our people employed, because places that have unemployment have crime.
That's right.
And you know what crime affects? Our pristine stayover product. And we do not want that. We want to have balance of both. And cruise tourism will actually help us maintain a low crime rate when it comes to preserving our stayover product. And our own personal lives as Caymanians and citizens of this country, because I don't want to live in a place that has bars on my window.
I agree.
Okay?
Yeah. It's interesting though. I mean, when we look at that statistic with, high crime, low, high unemployment. But in Cayman, we have seemingly, a whole lot of people working either with or without permits or don't need permits, and still, limited number of people who are unemployed.
That's a whole other discussion.
That's
a whole other show, my friend.
Go for weeks on that one.
So, that's it. But, gents, respectfully, quick break to take. When we come back, Dave Miller, Noel March joins us. Sean should come in at some point.
Yeah, he should be here in about 10 minutes.
He's bringing the turtle, right? Yeah. And we got some calls on the line, so let's hear from them as well.
Sure.
Please stay tuned for Talk Today.
King Sports Center takes pride in being more than just an ordinary gymnasium. For 14 years, their multi-purpose facility has been providing the community with a variety of sporting, recreational, and relaxation activities. King Sports Center has a bowling alley, lounge bar, multi-purpose rooms, powerhouse gym, rock climbing wall, bungee jumping, a 10,000 square foot rink, and so much more. For more information on the variety of services, call their friendly staff today at 946-5464 or email kings@candw.ky or visit www.kingsportscenter.com. King Sports Center, your one-stop shop for fitness, recreation, and relaxation.
Attention Breeze Fusion fans and supporters, registration is now open for the 12th annual Grand Cayman Breeze Fusion 5K Walk Run. We are calling on you to help us in raising funds for the NCVO and for the John Gray High School Musical Department. Registration is only $15 for adults if registered by September 30th. The walk run will take place on Saturday, November 3rd at the Smiths Bacadeer in Grand Cayman. But you must be registered by September 30th to take advantage of the lower fee. Visit CaymanActive.com to register today or stop by Radio Cayman on Elgin Avenue.
Radio Cayman's financial news covering banking, investments, stock markets, and more. Local and international financial news brought to you during the 6 p.m. news hour by Fidelity Bank. Fidelity, we're good for you.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today. Thank you for joining us. And in the studio, together with Noel March, we got Sean Ebanks and Dave Miller. Three fine gents who are going to share with us their perspective of the port. So, Sean, as you just joined us, man, we're going to come to you first or after. What do you think? Throw you in the fray?
Anyone, doesn't matter.
All right. Noel was just sharing with us, a perspective. So, we're going to get it. All right. Noel, tell us what you were sharing now in respect from the perspective. Miss Susan, we good? All right. All's well.
I think where we left off, Sterling, was that we need to make sure we keep our people employed. Mm-hmm. And we need to be very realistic about the opportunities that we create, utilize our assets, because there's a very high participation rate in cruise tourism. They participate and stay over as well, but Caymanians, as far as I know, have a greater rate, in my experience, of participation in cruise. For whatever the reasons are, that's how it is. Mm-hmm. And we would be silly not to utilize our assets and pick the low-hanging fruit that are there. Like I said, there's a direct connection between unemployment and socioeconomic ills such as crime. Mm-hmm. And if we want to maintain our overall wonderful island and our low crime rate, not only for ourselves but for our stayover visitors as well,
absolutely,
we need to make sure that we keep as many people employed, whether it's a job they get working it or if it's an entrepreneurial opportunity that they get to start their own business.
All right. Yes, as we mentioned before the break, we have a couple of callers online. Let's go to our phones, put on our headsets. We always say seatbelts optional, but depending on where we are, right? For those who are just joining us, we're talking about the port. We get a perspective from Sean Ebanks, Noel March, and Mr. Dave Miller. If you want to call, 949-8037 or 1-800-534-8255. Likewise, we got a WhatsApp phone here, 925-3261. Hey, good afternoon. Welcome. You're on Talk Today.
Good afternoon.
Okay, good afternoon.
And good afternoon to the panel.
How are you today?
Good afternoon.
Good. I just had one of the gentlemen
I don't
said,
have it.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Dave, just turn your thing up, see where you are right there. We can hear you. Perfect. We're good. Thank you so much, Mom, for joining us.
Okay. I just heard one of your guests mention about deep pockets. And I gather that means that these people who are coming on these larger cruise ships, they have deep pockets. And please don't interpret nothing I say is wrong, but I'm just speaking the plain facts. Deep pockets. So if these larger cruise ships have deeper pockets, what has the other cruise ship had that's been coming here for many years? Stick a pin there. I'll make your answer when I finish, please. He also mentioned that he doesn't want to live with bars on their homes. We must realize that our population has changed. We got every nationality you can think of living amongst us. And crime can be committed in the Cayman, and it will be committed to the fact that there's a lot of people unemployed. And why they're unemployed, I just can't guess it. Why they're unemployed. They can find all kinds of excuses why they're not working, they're lazy and this and that. I just want to say that down in the 90s, when I came back from Tampa, I worked downtown Georgetown. I work at Island Companies. I work at Tortuga. I work at Kirk Freeport. I work for Bryce Mary, his gift shop. And let me tell you something. When I was working downtown in those various stores, tourism was booming. I worked in an old 2x2 souvenir store. And one Easter alone, I brought in 8,000 and change just on T-shirts and knickknacks for that little small individual store. We had a goal to meet every month in those stores. And I'm not bragging, but my store is popping with goals down in the 90s here in Georgetown at a certain company. I will not call the company name unless my mouth slipped. But what I'm saying is, the cost of living keep climbing, and crime will escalate if we do not hire people in this island and stop looking at them as where they're coming from and what they have done and so forth. And I just want to say that I heard Mr. Moses also mention we want to attract high-end tourists to the Cayman Islands. When it was building Seafire, I heard the same thing on the news. They want to attract high-end visitors to this island. I want to say that every visitor that comes to this Cayman Island, they are all important and they're all high-end visitors. If they spend $1, if they spend $100, there are visitors that come to our island and they don't have to come here, but they made a choice to come here. And we do not go to the States and pull anyone down here to the Caymans by plane or by a cruise ship. And I just want to say today that I am a taxi driver. I raised up downtown Georgetown in the Hawkside Bay, and I would hate to hell today to see a port built out there today just because we want bigger ships coming to our shore that we can't even accommodate. Where are the stores? Where are the streets? Where are the taxi drivers? Where are the bus drivers? And it goes on and on and on. You know what? I would like to see the tourism go up to spot stock and try to upgrade that. They opened that when they was doing the election, and they never did one good thing since up there to that stuff. And people are going there on a daily basis from Tortuga and from the Ritz-Carlton down to 7 Mile Beach, coming up to the spots to use that beach, and no one has been there to do anything different to that location. So I just want to say to you guys, you already look at a bigger, broader picture of what the future is going to bring if that dock is put out there. And what about our children, our grandchildren and their children? Let's forget about the greed and just continue how we're working. Yes, we don't have many of accidents with these tenders. The bigger the fish, the bigger your pocket gets, and the more miserable and the more insecure you become, wondering if someone's going to rob you overnight or while you're in your driveway. I thank you guys.
Thank you. Gents, we just, before we answer, we have two others. Let's just see if we can put them in together. Hey, good afternoon. Welcome. You on Talk Today.
Good afternoon, Dwayne.
Good afternoon, sir. How are you?
And I'm fine.
All right. Bless
I
you.
want to support that lady. I know who she are. 100%. Because we are told in the Word of God that the eyes of man is never satisfied. We will never stop until we destroy the good thing that God has given us. My mission for calling today, though, was to pass my sympathy to the two young ladies that died recently, their family, Nardi and Rhonda. And I want to say how sorry I am to know that they have left us so early. But that is the way God has planned things. Some go late, some go early, but we're all going. And so we better remember that all of our turns will be it's no way out. we're going to go when our time comes. And greed is one thing that may hasten our death. Leave Georgetown alone. Stop worrying about the big dollar, the big cruise ships that never came here and may never come. But God has provided for us all of our lives. And I say that to Mr. Moses, the Premier, and everyone else that is voting for this great thing that is all that we'll need again in life, according to some. But God help us that we will focus our attention in the right place. He said to his people, I will provide for you. I'll take care of you. Trust me. And that's all he's asking of us today. Trust me. Don't be fooled by great promises. And don't let our eyes be filled with greed that we destroy ourselves. Thank you, Dwayne.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for calling. Mr. March.
I would like to just respond, and then Mr. Ebanks and Mr. Miller can add into that. When she's talking about deep pockets, the Royal Caribbean is known for having people who have higher income. That's just a fact. When the Oasis class came out, ships were removed from the Western itinerary, which the Oasis class replaced. Ships that carried 4,000 plus people, the Freedom class. We didn't get any replacement.
No.
Okay, so they took away 4,000. We would have gotten back 6,000, a net gain of 2,000, right? And a ship that carries a higher percentage of high dollar people. To me, that just makes complete mathematical sense. And this is not about greed. This is about survival.
Survival.
Okay? This has nothing to do with greed. Right? I had 4 to 5 employees who all lost their jobs, right? Who now had to go compete with another Cayman for a job somewhere else for less available jobs because of the loss of income into the country, right? These are real people, right, with real struggles. As far as the previous caller, with regards to her concern about crime, we have a common concern there. Yes, but I don't accept that there's going to be crime. What I do is be proactive and try to minimize it by creating employment opportunity for our people. And if it takes putting something in Georgetown Harbor, right, I can tell you what, the species that are out there that footprint will cover, right, they're not as important as the Caymanians that will benefit from that facility. Right. Okay? The species Caymanian need in work, right, is more important to me than whatever lies in the footprint of that proposed facility. And to sell that out there as our pristine dive product is a disservice to the Cayman Islands.
Absolutely.
And to the dive industry.
And to the dive industry. I have been diving, skin diving, free diving, whatever you want to call it, all my life, right? And little scuba too. And I can tell you what, right? That is not what I want out there to represent the Cayman Islands. Now, there's some nice things, maybe to the north and to the south of it, that aren't bad. But as far as our pristine dive product, we talk about the North Wall, talk about Bloody Bay and Little Cayman, and there's lots of other dive sites around these islands that are far superior to what lies. And if that needs to be sacrificed there, so be it. I would never support that facility anywhere else because, like others, I appreciate the environment and I want to see the environment protected. Absolutely. I would never go dig up Red Bay, the North Sound, or any of those places because that, if you want to talk about massive, from certain organizations that are always claiming massive environmental destruction, that is massive environmental destruction.
It's true.
Okay, I have seen what lies on the floor out there in that harbor myself, my own 2 eyes. I'm not guessing. Like I said, I don't believe in fear-mongering. I don't believe in myth. Okay, and that there, to me, is the least damaging place to put it. Anybody disagree? Go out there and look for yourself before you make that decision. Make sure you know what's there. Don't make somebody tell you if you've never seen it.
All right. Let's pick up this caller. Hey, good afternoon. Welcome. You're on Talk Today.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, my friend. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, man. Good. Yeah, I'll be on fast this afternoon, all right? This is Rambo speaking.
Hey,
yeah, good, man. And now, listen, my interpretation and rendition of this thing, right? I for the port now. like I said, in 7 weeks ago, with some moves on, he said the deeper the dredging, the less effect, the drop off, the less now. Right?
Simple.
And like the gentleman said, I don't know if it goes that day, it goes shallow or north down. Right? I see for the last 9 years now, right? Certain projects get blown out of the way. Right? The Imparado project of East End, DC Bowl, freshwater lanes, okay. Get out of the question. The Marriott, get out of the question. Right? Last main election, their election. Right? Five getting one part of, right? And 3 getting that 8 and out of 5 for the government. So you're saying to me, my vote not counted though. And using this thing as a football experience, political experience. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I hit a beat now. Whoever passing through, they're professional who passing through. Right? The crews up. I don't care who they are, the newlywed, college student, high rollers. I don't care about money at all, but currency. If you don't make no money, it don't make no sense. For instance, now, the sterling pounds in the UK are dropping drastically. Right? And we came our natives in by advocate for this now. Who knows one day I probably get involved in the tourism industry. So I talk my voice now. Feel me?
Mm-hmm.
Excellent.
So,
yeah, man.
That will be a son. You know? You can want us leave the fiduciary alone, the arbitrary, leave it alone. Go back to our roots, tourism. Right?
That's the one thing you have control over.
Exactly. Focus on that. Right? Fortunately, we don't have no winter, snow. We don't know rest of parcel. That's all we got. We got the snow. Right? We don't have freeze no certain food. Like certain soup and things are freezing in the freezer. Like certain winter countries. That's the point I make. And I might be there tomorrow at the meeting. I'm allowed to be there. But my spirit be there. But I probably see screaming. But I for the port, sir. I for the port because people have tendency. They came on. Difference. So, give me a moment. I work with Scotland. Right? For ground go up. Skeleton. Condos, online construction. Before they say, oh, they're against it. Mangroves. And when you go there now, big banquets. I've been there 2 times at a bar about 10 years ago. Right? Come on, I be the same thing, they're against it. And who goes in there? The people criticizing goes there. You feel me?
That's right.
Yeah, man.
You know what I'm saying? So in the highway, 2 more them with the highway now. Oh, they're against it, and oh, it's beautiful.
Gorgeous.
You know, and some in the house now too.
Mm-hmm.
You feel me? So it just came on thing though. This is my mentality. I feel the port now, and I care about it. I had a big friend, a look friend. But I voted for an election, and nobody said who vote for, right? And my politicians, whenever I see them in the physical form, I tell them I go. Someone different for it too. So I made a politician came on. But I for the port, sir. And Mr. Miller.
Yes, sir.
You have me as the morning, right?
That's correct.
I tell you I go. But I don't know profound today. But I tell you I go.
That's right.
Yeah, I for the port, sir. Right?
God bless you.
Good to hear that. Try your best to come out if you can, though.
Yeah,
sure.
I'll come out. I'll come out.
Tomorrow evening.
Yeah, I'll come out and get my power about it.
Yeah.
Like I said, who knows? That henceforth, 3-4 years from now, I probably involved in tourism industry. You never know.
Exactly.
So start from now in the delay installed with this project. You gotta be more dearer.
And with this new project and stuff, you know, some of the benefits out of this that will derive out of this is it opens doors for people like yourself. Like you said, you might want to get into tourism, and many more that I know of wants to get in here. But at this minute, how things are going, I wouldn't encourage that too much, because we need to have the facilities and the infrastructure. Right. And the people here to spread business out a little bit, you know?
Exactly.
All right. Hey, thanks very much for sharing, man. Gents, we got a quick little break to take. When we come back, want to hear more from you. Sean, you and Dave can join us, and as Noel shares. So please, stay tuned for Talk Today.
Super Jam Showdown.
Gospel music has gone too far.
Positive Monday. Population Tuesday.
Hey, now, baby.
Latino Heat Wednesday to Thursday. Back the hands of time.
Supersonic. Gay Friday Brack Party Block Top 10 Count to Female Friday.
Radio Cayman Super Jam Showdown. Weekdays 3 to 6. Brought to you by
Leap Diversify.
At Leap Diversify, they are dedicated to your educational pursuits. Visit www.leapdiversify.com.
Leap Diversify. They don't succeed unless you succeed.
We are now in the hurricane season, and to survive a hurricane, you need to be informed. If you have been informed by official sources that a hurricane is approaching the Cayman Islands, and you live in a low-lying area that is prone to flooding or near the beaches, which may be swept by high tides or storm waves, please seek a safe place and high ground. If the only way for you to get to a safe place is a road that is also likely to be flooded during a storm, please leave home early. Don't run the risk of being stranded. This has been a public service announcement from your community station, Radio Cayman.
The 2018 Fall Labor Force Survey, LFS, conducted by the Economics and Statistics Office, ESO, starts on Sunday, September 30th, 2018. The LFS collects data on employed and unemployed persons. Trained interviewers with ESO ID cards will visit randomly selected households in all districts. The interviews are confidential in accordance with the statistics law. No individual data will be published or disclosed. Survey data are exempt from freedom of information. For more details, please call the ESO hotline 516-3329.
Talk today.
But I do have some questions.
Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waging to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back to Talk Today. Thanks for joining us in the studio. Sean Ebanks, Noel March, Dave Miller joins us and gives us their perspective as to, how they see the port. Mr. March, you wanted to share. Sean, I know you called as well.
Yeah. Sterling, one of the concerns I know that people have out there are, how do we handle the numbers? Like what are we going to do with these people? The private sector will react, right, and respond to create attractions. And I think that one of the most significant things that needs to be done is to extend the bypass out to Frank Sound Road from Savannah.
Yeah.
That would allow easier access to the eastern districts for the tours that want to run out that way, and would allow more locals to have more entrepreneurial possibilities, right? People in those districts to be able to experience the benefits of it. East End is such a huge untapped resource as far as that sort of thing goes. East End, North Side, you got the caves up that way.
Yep.
There's so much. The private sector will react. If government puts in the proper infrastructure catalysts, right, and manages it, allows us to manage it, the private sector will react.
Absolutely.
And you will see the development. You will see the opportunities be created. That's just how it works,
To those who say then that we're putting the, sort of like the cart before the horse, should we put the infrastructure in place first in order to accommodate future growth, or are you saying bring the growth and then expand?
I think you need to put the infrastructure in first. That would be the cruise ship facility, plus the cargo dock is going to need to make ships come in bringing in cargo for all the building.
So if we put the cruise ships in first to bring the people in, but the road extension, as you said, that
road should have been built. It can happen in tandem. It can happen together. Yep. It all depends on how that goes. But I think one will bring the need for the other. Yeah. You can't have it. There's no perfect plan, right? You just got to get something going, and the other things will follow. Okay, right? We just have to manage it properly. Mm-hmm. There's money there, and there's money to be invested. And like I said, the private sector will react.
How do we respond to the notion that those on the other side or who are advocating have said, well, in the reports from government, the speed at which people come off on the dock and relative to the tendering, it's no difference. It's the same. What's your perspective?
Let me explain. One of the problems that we have, because we're with Land and Sea Co-op, me and Sean, and our problem is like today, we have only one ship. It's got 4,100 passengers. The tenders are coming in about every 10, 15 minutes. But when the people come off, you'll notice that they have what I call a lollipop. It's a sign that gives you the number. And so these tours that are coming up, because each ship is going to have close to about 60 tours. So where it becomes a problem is when you have 2, 3, 4 ships. Now you've got 240 tours that need to leave by 9 o'clock.
So these are pre-bookings?
These are pre-booking with Caymanian companies like ourselves. We're Land and Sea Co-op, right? How do you get these people off on time? If you're going to depend on the cruise ship tenders, then it really makes it difficult for all the people to get on time. We had an incident before when this same ship was over on the South Terminal, and they made us number 50-something, right? And I was trying to discuss with the shore excursion manager at the time. I said, ma'am, we are not getting the people off on time, and you're now 45 minutes late. Is there any way you can push our group forward? So they're coming in the next tender. When the next tender came, they didn't come.
How does that, you see there's a tender's fault, how does the tender determine who comes aboard? Is that the cruise ship side? How does that work?
Usually what happens is they tend to get all their pre-booked passengers off first.
The cruise ship
They
does.
try to.
Right.
But that doesn't really happen.
It doesn't,
every morning. And in most cases, they can't possibly do that because everybody wants to get off. And you can't tell one passenger on the ship, oh, wait, you're the one that bought our ticket has priority.
But it's a cruise ship that does that,
Yeah,
right?
it's a cruise ship, yeah.
Okay.
So that's how that works. But I can tell you that there's huge lines gathering up in certain ballrooms and stuff on the ship to catch these tenders. Your tour might not be for 10 o'clock, but you better be in the ballroom at 8 o'clock, 8:30, so you can get everything sorted out and get on the tender. So that's, people could have maybe slept an extra half hour or whatever they wanted to. But the real issue here is that, and I hope government don't get in any problems over it, but the port right now we're operating at an overcapacity level, Dwayne. The North Terminal was built in 1988 and 1989. They were built to carry to cater to 2,500 passenger ships, which we had at the time. South Terminal was built in 92, again 3,000 passenger capacity ships, and Royal Watler was built for the 3,500 and 4,000 something. And right now, we in the high season, when you got 6 ships in port, we're moving a lot more than that.
That's right.
And we're putting people's lives at risk every single day.
How so?
Because we're operating at our capacity.
But is that because of the number of ships or the process? I want to understand this.
A bit of both.
Yeah.
A bit of both. But it's really because of our infrastructure on the port. It is not big enough and huge enough to really.
It's too small.
We make it happen because we make it happen. So
sorry. Don't get me wrong. God bless the tenders, because they have been a lifeline for the cruise business for all these years, right? And it's not about against anybody, okay? This is about for Cayman, right? And we have reached a point where we are at capacity and not able to offer a facility that will continue to grow as far as the benefit that we get from it to get back that Oasis class. That alone, like we were discussing, over the last 9 years, $500 million in loss of revenue to our economy. And a little island like this, $500 million is a significant amount of money. That's a lot of jobs, a lot of bills paid. This is not about, this is about what works most efficiently and what allows us to squeeze all the juice out of the orange. Okay, so if you have, instead of having to squeeze 6 oranges, if you can squeeze the same amount of juice out of 4, right? That's pretty good, I think.
But is it then? That's what I was sharing earlier. When I have a chat, he always likes statistics and numbers, so we can chat. And 5 is a 5. How you interpret it and spend it is different, but it's always a 5 speed. But from that perspective, then with all these numbers and given the construction of the port, as Sean just reminded us, is it then that we are putting too much in, as he said, to overcapacity? And instead of expanding, do we need to get quality over quantity?
No,
that's what we're after.
Sterling, we want both, right? But quality, number one.
Yeah.
Right.
But you have to sustain a certain level of quantity to provide the opportunity for our people, okay? That is the key. There's always going to be people graduating from school, people growing up, people needing a job, people wanting to start a business. That's never going to end. Never. Right? So
to the question then of whether you come off the cruise ship on a dock or you come by tender, there's no faster one way or the other. Is that the case as the report says?
Now, I don't know what the report said, but logic would tell me that you can walk off a ship onto a dock a lot faster than it takes to queue up for a tender, get off on the tender, take the tender to shore, get off the dock the tender, unload the tender. I would think just walking off would. Now, what you would need to do, I think, Sterling, in fairness, would be to find out what the sources were of the information that they used in that report.
But this is the same report that we were talking about, right?
I know, but there were different parts of the report that were done differently, and they have to go to their sources. Now, I would say that before anybody comments, But
that's like the Bible. We can't take one part and not take the whole part. It could be encompassed, right?
No, it's the whole report is. They have their methods for the different parts of it that they do. Right?
Numbers again, Okay.
Yeah. And they have their scenarios that they set up, and you have to have independent verification of certain things, and you have to be careful where you get your information from.
Likewise with what you're saying with that $500 million over 9 years, it could be that it may be more, it could be a lot less, just depending on the source. I don't think
it could be a lot less.
No, saying, but the source, to your point.
These are talking proven economic statistics here when you come to that sort of numbers. What we're talking about here is that there was an experiment done where they had an independent source verify how long it takes to do either.
Just be statistical.
I don't know what their testing method was, so I couldn't sit here and tell you one versus the other. Logic would tell me that it's a lot easier just to walk off, right?
Let's look at our past, right? When we had the roads and we didn't have the 4 lanes, right? And this is what's happening. When the ship gets offloads to the tenders, it's usually 1 gangway. When the ship ties up against the dock, it can be 2 or 3 gangways. So you have more flow. It's the same thing like when back in the day when we had gridlock going from West Bay to Georgetown. As soon as that 4-lane highway opened up, things started to get an ease, right? But then even at that point...
The gridlock to West Bay. I keep people here now. I come from West Bay every day for the last 30 years, 40 years, 50 years. There was never that gridlock that I hear people talking about. Gridlock was from town going east or from east coming to town. We had West Bay Road traffic during lunch times, but this traffic to West Bay isn't what people said.
Do you remember those buses that were going down the middle lane?
That's a different
That was
story.
gridlock.
No,
okay,
you may not
know what that means, but that was gridlock.
No,
that's when traffic was stopped and people had to get back to the ship on time. That was the gridlock. But let me explain, right, a little bit further. What happened is that when you were going into town, what stopped the flow of traffic? That red light. Because if you're moving, right, and you're constantly moving, just like a whole row of dominoes, unless something stops that domino, it should continue to fall on. So that domino effect happened because that red light. But if you had a constant flow, then you didn't have that. That's what's going on in the ship. Because every time you take that tender, you load that tender, and that tender leaves, that other tender has to make that circle, come back, tie up, then start to make it safe, and then they walk off. And that little stop in the gap is what's causing all of that headache.
All right.
That's why it's easier on a cruise ship.
All right. News break. When we come back. Yeah. Keep sharing with us. Please stay tuned for Talk Today.
Follow Radio Cayman on Twitter. All the latest information, breaking news, community events, and more. Follow us at twitter.com/Radio Cayman.
Radio Cayman.
Radio Cayman's newsroom. These are the biggest stories right now.
A delegation from Cayman, including the Premier and Minister for Financial Services, is attending the Monaco Yacht Show this week. The Cayman Islands has more than 80% of market share and ranks number 2 in the world, second to only France. The Monaco Yacht Show is an annual trade show held in Port Hercules and is Europe's largest in-water display of yachts. Good afternoon, I'm Dion Anglin with your headlines. In news elsewhere, United States President Donald Trump has attacked the Iranian leadership, accusing it of sowing chaos, death, and destruction across the Middle East. Addressing the United Nations General Assembly in New York, he defended his decision to abandon the nuclear deal. Mr. Trump also boasted that his administration had accomplished more than almost any other in U.S. history. And Bill Cosby could face up to 10 years in prison. A Pennsylvania judge has ruled Bill Cosby, the comic once dubbed America's Dad, as a sexually violent predator. The label means 81-year-old Cosby must undergo counseling for life and appear on the sex offenders registry. A judge made the ruling ahead of sentencing the comedian for drugging and molesting a woman at his suburban Philadelphia home in 2004. And a couple in their 70s evicted from their flat in northern Spain were forced to sleep in a park. They spent 2 nights in the park in Oviedo after they were kicked out of their flat by a court for not being able to pay their rent. Their €300, which is $350 monthly pension, wasn't enough to cover their $550 monthly rent. The court said it was not aware of the vulnerability of the couple when it made its ruling. That's a wrap of your headlines. I'm Dion Anglin.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
What's happening in your community? News and information, music and more. You can find us. www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Radio Cayman is your choice, your voice for today's biggest news. Radio Cayman.
Don't forget to tune in every Monday through Friday for the 7 a.m. news, brought to you by Cayman National Bank, proudly serving the Cayman Islands since 1974. Visit Cayman National Bank today for all of your financial needs.
Talk today.
But I do have some questions.
Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back to Talk Today. Thank you so much for joining us. In the studio, Sean Ebanks, Noel March, Dave Miller, and we've allocated the entire show, for them to share their perspective. I know you entrepreneurs, you have things to do, so as and when you need to leave, can you stay till 2:30?
Oh, yeah.
Dave, if you want, you can stay at the 7, man. We keep it company, man.
Just get me an ashtray and a vent.
There you go. We do have a call on line. Miss Susan, just pop my headset so I can hear. Good afternoon. Welcome. You're on Talk Today.
Yeah, hello.
Okay, sorry. Yes,
hello?
sir. Yes, sir. Good afternoon.
Yeah, I've been listening to this discussion here, and I've heard all attributes to what the subject is all about. Not heard too much on what the other scenario would be, but I want to ask your panel there: have any of you ever walked from Pageant Beach down to Lower End Reef at Henning Beach in West Bay? Let's say within the last 5 years?
Not in the last 5 years, but when I was younger.
Yeah, I rode my bike.
Sorry, too old now.
Okay. Well, maybe you should do it currently, do it presently, because I walked that beach something like 75 years ago. Okay, and I've walked it quite frequently. Not only walked it, I've paddled it also. Now, if you look at the minuscule intrusions that have happened there over the last 30 years, I'd say, 25, 30, 40 years, and see what has happened to the beach area, okay? And I use the word let me talk. I use the word minuscule because what has gone on along that beach in the last 30 years is minuscule to what is being proposed to happen out in the harbor.
But sea level is rising, right?
Can I just talk?
No, I know, but I'm saying that sea level is rising all around the planet, right?
I'm not sure about that.
Well, that's what they're saying around the world.
Okay, well, let me finish.
The water has to go somewhere.
Yes, sir. Go ahead, sir.
I think what you've seen happening along that beach by the little minuscule work that's been happening, if you multiply that by the effect that will happen when you put that structure out in the harbor in Georgetown by probably 500 times, 1,000 times. You just imagine what's going to happen to 7 Mile Beach. Now, 7 Mile Beach is a big attraction for all of these people coming here, tourists coming here. And I think you have to put some consideration. If that...
Can I ask you a question?
Let me just finish. If that has a major impingement happen to it, what are the people going to come here for?
What do you think is going to happen to it?
I can't predict it's going to happen to it, but I know if you look at the scale of what has happened along there, I'd say in the last 30 years, with the little minuscule works that has gone on, and you put something massively somewhere else that is going to affect the currents, the tides, the seas coming ashore, then you use your imagination.
Well, you're around my age group. You said you were 75?
No,
he said he walked at 75 years old.
I'm 65 years of age. I'm a diving instructor now at Patty YMCA. I've been walking it for 48 years, right? I'm Caymanian. My father's Leslie Miller. He's from Northside. But I just want to bring up a subject to you. If you ever walked from Pageant Beach to West Bay, have you ever walked from Pageant Beach to South Sound? 'Cause I want to show everybody something. When you walk down there or you drive down there and you go down by Lobster Pot and you keep going down to Arthur Baden, you'll notice that the color of the sand is not pink. Can you tell me why it's not pink? If we believe that the 7 Mile Beach is being created by Northwesters, why isn't it happening in Georgetown?
Well, I don't think anybody believes that it's being created by Northwesters. It's being created by the dynamic flow of all the currents that go in all various directions. And there has been studies that have been conducted on these things.
Well, they always told me that it was parrotfish. That's what they told me. And that's what, I pretty much have seen as I've been diving, for 25 years as a diving instructor and stuff. And I took people down sometimes 3 times a day and do night dives and stuff like that. And that's where I saw the sand coming. Little parrotfish would go and chop, grab the coral with his mouth. It sounded like potato chips when you're listening to inside the water. And then when he went, he made sand. So that's what I believe. I really believe that the sand in Hogstye Bay all the way to Smith Cove is coming from South Sound. I don't believe it's coming from the north side of the island.
I just want to ask the caller about the things the projects that he said were done on the beach that have caused the issues. I'm just curious which particular projects he's referring to, or what type of projects.
Well, you just walk the beach currently, and you'll see where the impingement has been made, and the.
Are you referring things that have been built close to the water? Is that what you're referring to?
Yes.
Okay, well, how that affects beach erosion is that things that are built too close to the water do not allow waves to dissipate all their kinetic energy when they crash on shore. So when we have any sort of storm event that will on the odd occasion come from the western side of the island, if the waves when they crash on the beach are not allowed to dissipate their energy properly and hit something like a seawall or whatever structure that's too close to the water, that is what causes the erosive event. What's
going to happen to the kinetic energy when all the currents hit massive structures?
The dock is not in line with the beach. If you stand on the beach and you look south, as you know, Hogstye Bay is kind of like a cut-in. It goes inward, and there's so much deep water between that and the southern part of the beach that that wouldn't really be an issue, considering all the sand that studies have shown that is on 7 Mile Beach comes from the north coast of the island that was made since the beginning of time, and it's happening as we speak. The currents bring it down, deposit it off Norwest Point, and over the eons, Norwesters have brought that sand up onto the beach. It happens as we speak every year. It's a continuous process. The reason so much sand was there to begin with is that was happening long before any of us were ever here. The sand does not come from the south.
Well, yeah, but do you think that the currents only go up from south down and follow the edge of the drop off and go down Northwest Point?
The currents that go off the southern side of the island, unfortunately, what it does, there's a deposit. The same way sand is deposited on the northwest point of the island is deposited on the southwest. Sand that's created along the southern belt, if you want to call it, of the island, over the same millions of years that the sand on the north side was created. Unfortunately, we really don't have events that bring it north. It tends to just go off into Never Never Land in the deep.
Off the mountain.
And there was actually a study that was done for government in the past. I think it was the one that Dr. Seymour was involved in,
right,
where they wanted to identify where they could get replenishment sand if we had a massive erosive event. And I believe that what came out of it was that off that southwest corner of the island and the northwest, there are areas there, a shelf, if you call it, with a whole lot of really nice sand, the same kind of sand you find on 7 Mile Beach, that they could take a barge out there and suck it up with a dredge and put it back on the beach, because obviously 7 Mile Beach is very important to us. But
yeah, well, you don't think that the current sweeping and the whole vista, the whole bite from Northwest Point up to Southwest Point?
It not to the effect where it would something in the harbor would affect the beach. The biggest effect to things on the beach and erosion on the beach are things that are built too close to the water.
Well, where does the sand come from? If it doesn't, what you're saying,
7 Mile Beach, the sand came from the north coast of the island, and as Mr. Miller said, and I know this from being a tour operator myself. You go out and you swim, and everybody knows what we call the big parrotfish, Guillembeau.
Oh yeah.
If you're ever swimming behind a school of them, it looks like it's snowing.
Yeah.
Okay, they're pardon the term, I use the light term, they're pooping sand almost constantly, and that's been happening, like I said, from long before any of us ever been here.
That's for sure.
And that's where that sand comes from. That pretty white sand.
It's renewed every day, Mr. Bank.
Yeah,
I don't know how we can lose something if it's being renewed and replenish every second of the day.
Yeah, where we need to be careful is how close we built to the water.
What you got to realize, Mr. Banks, as well, is that the piers itself is not a slab of concrete going straight out to the ocean. They're actually going to be built on pilings,
That's right.
which allows the current flow, as we have it now, to continue to flow as normal as Mother Nature intended it to.
And you know how big is the pilings? I heard something quoted very recently, something like maybe 6-8 foot apart across.
6 or 8 feet wide. I understand that they're going to be at least 6 foot wide. Yeah, and we have a few hundred of them to hold up the two piers. But the point is, Mr. Banks, it doesn't stop the current flow. Like what you were just saying, that you're disrupting the current flows and stuff like this, and that's not going to be the case.
Going to stop it, but it certainly is going to affect it.
Well, I don't know, Mr. Banks. I'm not a marine biologist. I'm not an engineer of any sort. None of us here are, and neither are you. And what's been happening for the last few weeks is pure assumptions. I think what we need to do is come out to the meeting tomorrow night. Government has all the information on the table. They're going to be putting everything there tomorrow night for us to see and ask questions and what have you. Mr. Banks, that is the people who we need to listen to in regard to this project. They are the ones that done the studies over the years, that use our money to pay for these studies and reports. And we need to listen to what they have to present to us tomorrow night. They are the government. They're the ones with all the facts. Okay, they had engineers and stuff do all of this, research and everything for them. And none of these reports says that we're going to lose the 7 Mile Beach because of a dock. None of these reports says that black and white that 7 Mile Beach would disappear if we put a port in Georgetown. I think we need to listen to those reports because we paid for them, and government are I don't see government pushing for this, knowing, and if they had any idea that the 7 Mile Beach would be at risk, I don't think Mr. Moses or anyone else in government would pursue this. Do you?
I think the three of us.
Well, I wouldn't think so either. I wouldn't hope so. But I've heard it quoted that.
Yeah, you had plenty of things quoted, Mr. Banks. But I would say, let's not listen to that. Let's go out and get the facts, learn the facts tomorrow night.
Sorry, Mr. Banks, you were saying, sir?
It was quoted from official sources. I think read on this program a couple of weeks ago that the report said it would have no effect on 7 Mile Beach, and I don't know who could buy that.
Baird report. That's the latest one. They said that it wouldn't affect the Georgetown.
So he's questioning whether or not that would be in fact the case. Any final thoughts, sir?
Well, I think that a lot of thought needs to go into this whole project, and there needs to be some credence put on what Caymanians in themselves have collected between their ears over the last 60, 70, 80 years, and what they've seen along that 7 Mile Beach based on what has happened over the last 30 to 40 years and the shape the beach is in now to what it could be in the future if further impingement in the thousands of multiples are put out there.
Okay. Hey, thanks very much, gents. We do have some calls. I know Mr. March and Mr. Miller, but let's just take some calls if you want. All right. Sure. Good afternoon. Welcome. You're on Talk Today.
Good afternoon again.
Good afternoon again, Mom.
Yes, I heard your panel mention in regards about children coming out of school and would be looking jobs and so forth. I just wanted to say that just a couple of days ago, I said to over 20 to almost 30 kids, I say, who would like to work in tourism? A lot of them say, what is tourism? So I told them, I said, you don't know what tourism is, and then I said what it was all about. And then one little expat kid said, tourism is stupid. I wouldn't work in that. So to mention about our school kids coming out and wanting to be in tourism, we got to groom them from now, and we need to put tourism in our schools to make them know what tourism is all about. They're saying because there's a taxi driver on the road and there's a cruise ship in there, that is all it takes to be in the business. But then our kids need to be educated. And when it comes to talking about the getting off and the getting on of the cruise ships, we have a very small airport here. And the amount of planes that come in here in our high season, and the time that our visitors have to wait inside that airport sometimes to get out front, it is unbelievable. They comes out upset and carrying on. Now, when you go to Miami or New York or any other part of the world, and when you go into that immigration, the people up there by the hundreds, I don't know where we get off at trying to make everybody comfortable when they come here and making our own lives a living hell. And one of you guys just said that we need to listen to the government. I just want to say today, we put in these elected members in every 4 years, and they've been for 30 and more and less and whatever. And they don't have the right all the time to make a decision. That's why we are out here. We put them in there. And I think that it takes some time for them to say, you know what, I need to listen to my people who put me in this house. And no disrespect to you, Mr. Sean. Did you run for election at some point in time?
Me? No, ma'am.
No? Okay.
No, I was on the CDP campaign last election, but not.
You didn't run.
Not running. I might run away from that, but not running it.
Okay. All right. Okay. Sorry.
But
I asked you that because Austin criticized the government years gone by in regards to the port and this and that and that and that.
Well, that was when Austin didn't have all the facts himself. Now that he sits on government, he has all the facts and information that that he needs, and I guess that's the reason why he's so right now or have a different view, because he've learned that it's a lot different than what we are all. Like I said earlier, there's all kind of assumptions out there, and people seem to be experts on everything, but nobody has the real, true facts of this thing. I mean, we need to go by the reports that we have paid for.
Yeah. Anything final, Mom?
Sean, Sean, do you remember some hurricane we had and it took away the Marriott Beach? Do you remember? Going back there and see how Marriott never had no beach for such a long time. You remember that?
But the Marriott still loses their beach now, and that is because, like what Mr. Noel was saying earlier, we're planning department is allowing people to build too far down to the water line. Right. And that is what erodes the beach in that area.
They built so close to the Marriott in the Fairway water line. What is down there? I don't know. But listen to me. What about Rum Point?
Rum Point? That was also dredged too, if you didn't know that.
All of it.
I was all dredged.
Ivan came through.
Yes, Mom.
When Ivan came through, Ivan destroyed a lot of Rum Point. You can walk almost the way the hell up and get to your shoulder only it is so shallow. It is so shallow.
Right. One point talking about Ivan, and it goes to show how important cruise tourism is. Like I think I'm pretty sure it is our lifeline in this cruise in the tourism industry altogether. I would say that cruise tourism is our lifeline. If you remember, after Ivan, the first thing that we got that was coming back here to help out with business was the cruise ships. It took almost a year for the hotels to open back up, almost a year. And if you think that cruise tourism doesn't play that real significant role, if you take it away, and we only left with 400,000 and odd stay-over visitors, that cannot sustain our tourism industry. You would have to sell your taxi, and I would have to sell my boat and go look at another job. Too. Because, like I said, without cruise tourism, we are left very, very short, and we would not enjoy the type of lifestyle that we have here today, that we've been enjoying for so long. Tourist dollar goes to everything you can think about, including paying the politicians' salaries.
Right.
And I don't know how the opposition can get up there and try to denounce this project and all this kind of stuff and try to stop it. If they would put that much fight in trying to reduce the cost of living and stuff here on this island, that's what they should be fighting for. That is what chasing away some of the tourists. The cost of living.
Right.
But I don't hear them going on. They're not going on too much about that. But they're making a lot of noise about this cruise project, and I don't think that they really have Cayman and our future at heart, as they say.
Hey, thanks much, Mom. Gents, let's pick up some other callers. Good afternoon and welcome. You're on Talk Today.
Brother Sean.
Afternoon, sir.
Brother Dwayne, how are you and your panel? I don't know who your panel is there, but...
Right now it's Dave Miller, Sean Ebanks. Noel March was here, but he had another engagement, so he left just shortly. But yes, Sean Ebanks and Dave Miller continues.
Yeah, well, I guess they're much younger than me, but I don't got too much to say. I just want to make two comments and ask a question. Mm-hmm. But I want to find out if either one of the panel there ever spear fishing or dove from up there by Eden Rock down to where the fish market is, little past Norberg, Thompson, Big Grip. Any of the panel there ever spear fishing there?
No, I haven't. And you got to be careful doing it at the marine park. You shouldn't be up in this spear fishing.
I did it when I was 14 years of age. I used to go out with Gary Foster, Don Foster, Danny Soto. I've been with a lot of different people spearfishing in that area. What was your question?
I'm 68 years ago. I'm 68 years old.
Yes, Judge.
And I grew up there on that waterfront. That was my breakfast, dinner, and supper. I agree 200% that they need a cruise ship dock.
Thank you.
And 500 times no to the Georgetown area where they're planning to build that now. And
where else do you think would be the best, the other spot?
Sir, if you just give me a chance, I will talk and you can answer me, sir.
Right.
Your father, Captain Lorby, I used to run up and down with him a lot on his boat. And if he was alive today, God bless his soul, he would have a different view from you. Because I remember one time he was going over to Honduras, and he came to the front there to get cleared out to go, to leave. And he was talking, it was a Saturday evening around 4 o'clock. And he was looking down and he said, boy, he said, down there, it's so beautiful. He said, look at that. He said, the day that anybody touched that, he said, I'm around. He said, it would be problem. So I'm going to leave that there. But what I would like to say, and I'll answer your question, God created that how he wanted to. And I heard a statement just now saying that the government has all the answers. No. The government don't have all the answers because neither one of them government officials or neither people that the government hired swim around there, go down there and spend days and weeks. That was our living years ago growing up in the Cayman Islands, especially in Georgetown. That was our living. The amount of blowholes that they used to have there alone, many of the government people do not know about them. And let me say one last thing before going, I will answer your question. There's a scripture in the Bible called 2 Corinthians 7:14. And I wish that you all could find it and look at it and read it out to yourself, because the government not listening to the older Caymanians that spent all their life, the old captain like Paul Hulston and all the rest of them. No government people is listening to them, but I know one thing they can listen to is that good man above. And let me say something. That was created by God, not by man, but man want to overthrow it. And as long as you don't have a port, cruise ships can still come to Cayman, because this is the best port in the world. I heard a few days ago on the same radio station that they interviewed some tourists, and all four that they interviewed, they said to leave it the way it was. And me personally, to think where they could put this dock would be up Pedro Castle, ship in the world that is built yet can touch bottom there, and they got a whole lot of land that they can use to build the port. That is my saying, and that is my thought where they should build it. But let them continue. And 2 Corinthians 7:14 say, if my people humble themselves and seek my face, he will bless the land. God created that, so I might live to see it. But when God do something out there, the government will listen. You all have a wonderful day. Thank you very much. God bless you all.
God bless you too. I just wanted to say, when we think about the history of Cayman, when Caymanians first came here, they came here by boat. And then they settled up there in Old Isaacs, up in East End. Then they moved the capital to Baden Town. Baden Town was the major area, and then the area started to fill up with sand. You remember that? And then you went further to the west because that water was deep enough, and that's why they went to Georgetown. It wasn't because they couldn't do it on the south side. They liked the south side, but it practically and scientifically, it just was filling in. Remember the name bota baño, which is bathrobe in English. It's a Spanish word. You can find it on the south coast of Cuba. It really was supposed to try to say bota baño, which was boat cleaning. So when we were building the old schooners, sloops, catboats, whatever, and we wanted to do that keel hauling where we could actually work on the side of the ship, we didn't have a marina. So we took these boats into the North Sound and went up there to the area of Morgan's Harbor.
The careening, the
careening of these boats. And this was done using the mangrove trees with, block and tackle and pull them to the side, and then they worked on them and stuff like that. But all of that water, which was at, hundreds of years ago was a lagoon, slowly became a barrier reef with channels, and so people were able to come in and out. But what's the deepest place in North Sound? 10 feet. So a lot of sand is still moving.
Actually, some spots are a little bit deeper, though.
There's a little couple of areas, but
a lot deeper.
15 feet is average.
Is about that average, right? But that would be a great place to dredge that. Anybody in favor of that? No. So anybody want to do it on the south side? No. Anybody wants to do it on the west side? Yes. Why did they pick that area? Well, they had consultants, they had scientists, they had all these research people. Government paid for it. And I'll never forget when Mr. Linford Pearson was in charge of the port, and it was me and two other fellows that went there. We were having a meeting about something else. And he said, listen, gentlemen, what about, the port? You guys are in this transportation industry. Why are you all not trying to push to build a port? It'll be better for you. And I said, well, why would you say that? And he says, the ships are only going to get bigger. And the population of Cayman is only going to get bigger. It's not going to get smaller. So we can't bring in smaller ships. You have to bring in bigger ships. This is not something that's going against God or the Bible or Paul Hurlston or anything else. It has to do with the reality of the situation. The situation is that I'm going to die first, and Sean or, Sterling is going to be, after that. And so the children and the grandchildren, the great-grandchildren, they're going to come up afterwards, and they're going to have to find something else to do. Are we going to build factories and do textile? Are we going to start building computers here? How about cameras? What is the plan? We talk about the financial industry. Didn't we have 600-plus banks? How many do we have now? Are you listening? Are you paying attention? Are you reading? We're down to 189.
But sorry, Dave, we're told that the banking sector is the mergers and all the different things. So that may not.
But you know what that means at the end of the day? Less licensing. I remember when HSBC was bought out by Bank of Butterfield for $2.5 billion, but that was 2 licenses. Now there's 1. And that's what the money is still here. But the bank branches, all these banks are becoming one, less and less, merging. There's only 50 banks in the whole entire world that controls the entire world banking. When it goes down to 50, how is that going to really benefit us?
That's an interesting point.
We can do that on another talk show. Yeah. But let's go back to what I was talking about. So they created this TAC, the Technical Advisory Committee, and they had a little booklet 30 years ago. And I'll never forget, I was smoking some cigar, and I met one of the guys that was in that.
Favorite
right?
pastime.
That's my favorite pastime. And so when I got up inside there, he didn't recognize me because, of course, I got old. I got white hair on my head, and I'm fat like Santa Claus. When he knew me, I was 150 pounds, and, I was looking great. Hey,
I wouldn't go that
changed.
far to say you were looking great.
Well, better than this.
Okay.
So, but at the end of it, I said to him, I would like to have it in Red Bay. I mean, why we can't have it in Red Bay? I mean, you know how much more money I'll make? Of course I want it in Red Bay. I want it in Cayman Brac, and I want to own the only boat that can bring you people back here to Grand Cayman. That would be the business sense of me. But the reality of the situation, and that we are doing this for the country. We're not just doing it for Dave or Sean or Noel. We're doing it for the country. We're doing it for the future. And
I would be 75 when this is paid off for.
Yeah.
So it can't really be for me. It has to be
I'm
decided for
gone.
the future, generations to come.
All right, gents, let's just quickly pause, take a break. A couple of calls we want to take, a couple of messages you want to share. So please stay tuned for Talk Today.
Place household garbage in large bags prior to its placement in a garbage container to avoid spillage during collection. A suitable garbage container must be made of sturdy materials that will allow it to withstand weathering. A tightly fitted cover is also necessary to keep out water and stray animals. Do your part. Keep your surroundings clean. Store household garbage in a suitable garbage container. For more tips on proper waste packaging, please visit DEH website at www.deh.gov.ky.
Hi, I'm remodeling our bathroom. I have a few questions.
Sure.
What are some ideas to make my bathroom feel larger? How do I know if I'm picking the right vanity? How do I choose a new toilet or a new countertop? Also, the lighting is terrible. Can I put a window or a skylight? And do I really need an exhaust fan?
You've come to the right place. At Brand Source, we custom design kitchen and baths, and our talented design team can help answer your questions. Whether you're looking for a modern, functional family bathroom or a luxurious personal retreat, we'll help create that beautiful space that makes your home yours. And if you're in a rush for a new look and have a limited budget, our ready-to-install bathroom vanities, built with solid wood and countertops of the finest materials, are a quick and easy remodeling solution.
For the very best in custom-designed kitchens and baths, visit Brand Source Home Gallery on Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park, Cayman's new kitchen and bath center.
Talk today.
But I do have some questions.
Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back to Talk Today. Thanks for joining us. And our guest in the studio shares their perspective on the report. Sean Ebanks, Dave Miller. Noel March was with us earlier, but he had to get back to work. So let's go to the phones and join this caller. Good afternoon. You're on Talk Today.
Hello.
Hi, good afternoon.
Hello.
Good afternoon, sir.
Dean.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon.
This is Kim.
Hey, Mr. Cam, how are you?
Good. I've been listening to this, all the talking that's going on. And I work with the, excuse me, I work with the University of Louisiana for years and years, me and Bob Soto. Bob didn't go as much as I did with the university because he was taking care of the dive and stuff. But if Bobby was here, he would tell you the same thing. We done research. Now, we didn't do research for government, or we didn't do research for nobody. We done it with the University of Louisiana. And what we done, I can show you where the sand goes. I mean, I'm not going to argue with nobody. I can show you. If you want to go from Seven Mile Beach, it goes to Pulmadown Point. Pulmadown Point is by the cemetery. Yeah, South Down. We followed it. We put a dye in, and we followed it. But I worked with the Louisiana a long time, university, but it wasn't continuously for 7 years or anything. It was 3 weeks a year and 2 weeks a year, and sometimes it was a month. It was like, let's say, refresher courses for all the students at the university. And we studied that from top to bottom. And this is where the sand goes. And if they ever trouble that flow, I mean, goodbye.
So did you go in from Northwest Point?
No, it goes from 7 Mile Beach.
7 Mile Beach, okay. All the way around to the south sound by the cemetery.
Yeah, by the cemetery.
All right, going in that direction.
All you got to do, when you see the beach kind of gone, you go up there and you'll see it's almost out to the quay. The sand.
Yes, sir.
And this is why the sand is so white and so clean, because it moves up and down. And let me tell you something now. This Dr. Roberts, me and him are good friends. And he's always said to me, why don't you try to talk to these people? I said, Dr. Roberts, who going to listen to me? I talk to everybody in government, talk to everybody. These people come down here, they're talking about him on the radio now. I would like to ask them some questions. And I bet you they couldn't answer one. Talking about, they know where the sand goes, and they know this, and they know that. They don't know it. How are they going to know it? Stand up with a suit of clothes on, necktie, looking out there. Huh?
I agree with you all the way, Mr. Kim. Mr. Kim, can you tell me what that orange sand was by Lobster Pot? That was where Bob Soto's was at. That's where you used to work. Can you tell me where that orange sand comes from?
Well, orange sand comes from the iron shore.
Oh, so that means that anywhere there's iron shore, you should have orange sand?
Just about. You see where them fishermen is too?
So why isn't it that Smith Cove?
Huh?
Why isn't it that Smith Cove?
Well, no, I know it went up there.
Mm-hmm.
But I can tell you one thing. It's not no white red sand by Lobster Pot now.
I can still see it there and over there.
Oh, you know why?
Why?
Because somebody dug a hole there.
Oh.
And you notice now, all white sand. Where the iron shore was, white sand.
I noticed many years ago off of West Bay Public Beach, the one that's up there by Harbor Heights, not the one all the way into West Bay, but when you go a certain distance offshore, if you just take your hand and wave it underneath on the sand, you can see the black soil from the swamp. It looks like at one time or another that was all swamp area along the 7 Mile Beach, at least in that area that shows that. Did you observe any other swamp type property that was along the 7 Mile Beach?
Well, we didn't go into that. We just studied. Dr. Robert just studied this. But let me tell you now, anything that man say, this is who they need to get down here. Somebody like him, not people that come out and look and say, "Well, that's a beautiful place." Oh yeah, stop.
Yeah, I agree with that. I was on the Rhapsody. Rhapsody was my ship when I had Calypso Divers, when I had my little company there by Captain Brian's restaurant. And I was starting the snorkeling trips in Georgetown. And so they were coming offshore, but they kept on complaining about that iron shore rock there. So I bought a truckload of sand and I put it all over that beach. And 3 days later, a Northwester came and took every piece of sand off that beach. Every piece of it. Not one grain of sand was left there. And so in my conclusion of what I saw, I didn't hear it from somebody else from somewhere else. I saw that the sand left the iron shore on this side. I noticed also up by Pageant Beach. I mean, there's no sand on the outside of that rock, but there's a little cut, and they have sand on the inside. But when Rhapsody ran aground, they ran aground on a flat rock, and there was no sand on that rock. And the stern section of her ship was hanging off that little ledge, and that was 50 feet of water as it got deeper. And so my theory on it is that once you go past that area, that sand goes into deeper water, and so it's not able to come into the shoreline. And that's why we don't have a sandy beach in Georgetown. That's my own theory.
Yeah,
I'm not a Baird. I'm not a Roberts. I'm not, whoever. But, I mean, to me, it just looks weird because I used to run the glass bottom boat when what's his name there bought that. Ron Kipp bought it from Bobby. And then I also ran a bigger glass bottom boat off the Holiday Inn that I used to go out all along the area of Oro Verde shipwreck all the way down to Public Beach where they had the shallow fire coral that was all over the place there. And I used to do day dives, night dives on top of that. And so I saw a lot of, sand in those areas, but Georgetown, there was hardly any sand. I mean, up inside like Soto Beach Central is mostly, dry and, rocky, and it doesn't have that. But, I mean, Balboa has a little, section of sand with those garden eels that are standing up there. That's a little bit more to the north of the Balboa, but Balboa don't hardly have no coral.
You don't have to tell me that kind of stuff because anywhere you go, Cam or Bobby been there.
Exactly. So that's why I'm talking to you, and I'm talking and saying the same thing that you're saying, and saying that I saw these things. But as you know, right, when you did those day and night dives on the Balboa, there's not really hardly any coral there.
No.
So when we build a dock there, we're really not going to take out a lot of coral.
No, I'm not talking about that. But if they...
But would you agree with what Dave has said, Mr. Kemp?
Yeah?
Do you agree with what Dave has said?
But he's not saying about the coral. I mean, Mr. Kemp, you're sharing about the flow of the sand and the potential impact on South Mile Beach?
I heard him a while ago say that the piling going to be 6 foot across.
That's in deep water.
Yeah.
We think. We're not really sure because we don't know.
Well, yeah, but what about the shallow one?
I think they'll be, a lot smaller because they're going closer to land.
Well, let me tell you now. Out there, just past the dock, where the ship docks. That pier out there, you know who built that? That was me.
Right. But you know that all those years that those cruise ships were dropping anchors, well, from the first ship that came in here was Atlantis in 1937, and from then on, every time a ship came in, they dropped an anchor. How many feet would you say is the amount of damaged reef on the drop-off?
Oh, well, I couldn't tell you that.
Would you say 2,000 feet?
I don't know. I never studied that.
But you know it's at least from over there by Pageant Beach all the way to Eden's Rock.
Oh. If I know, I guess I do.
Of course you know. You've been all over that reef.
I born yesterday,
Mr. Kemp, the Baird report, quoting from them, the Baird report, it says that the project will not result in any significant impact on 7 Mile Beach, as no significant sediment transport occurs between Georgetown and 7 Mile Beach.
He demanded dove and studied it.
Who that?
I don't know who it was.
No, I was just quoting from you direct from the Baird report that the government has.
Who can report that is?
And that's the report that the government is using and everybody else is using. The most recent one.
Yeah, for the environmental impact assessment, they use the Baird people.
The government is paying somebody to do a report, and if I was to come get a bunch of people to come here and pay them a couple of $100,000, they would say, okay, the dredge North Sound too,
That's what I think happened when that other guy was doing it, because it benefited those people.
And that's the thing, Mr. Kemp. You're hearing all kind of different stories and assumptions and stuff, and a lot of it is people with their own agenda in regards to this project. Like I said, I think we all should come out tomorrow night at the meeting and see the facts that government has going to be.
I'll pick up on that second, Sean. But Mr. Kim, I know you're on the line, so what else you want to share with us? Go ahead, sir. Take your time.
I remember very plainly. You remember when Mr. Norberg built them apartments down?
Caribbean Paradise?
Yeah. You remember the coconut trees that was out on the beach and you had a hammock out and everything?
Yeah, that's right. I used to rent there too. Yeah.
Okay, listen to this now. Dr. Roberts was here, and they were dredging the channel themselves down. You remember that?
Which channel? You mean the one by Pullaby Dam Point or the one down by Red Bay?
Yeah, the one down there by Red Bay.
Okay. Yeah. I remember that. Okay.
You say you got in about up here, the friends with you. I say, yeah, Norberg is a very good friend. He said, tell him he better put a wall around his building. I said, why? He said, his son going to go there. And I said, oh, God, I don't believe I really didn't believe it. But I went and told him, but Mr. Norfolk didn't believe in that, I guess. And it wasn't very long. Might have been 2 months. He called me. He said, "No, a couple of trees gone." I said, "Well, I told you." I said, "These people is down here, and they know what they're talking about. And look at it now. Another couple of trees there now, and the wall is there."
Yeah.
And this man, I'll always remember the thing that he showed me, told me they were dredging Cayman on his last trip down here. See? They had just not too long started. And he said, if you go in and bought it at looking land, tell them to buy up here, not down to the south. I said, why? He said, this thing going to wash away. And you see the dock, I don't know who built the dock there, whether it was government or who it was. But you see where the dock is now?
Uh-huh.
You can go in there with a car.
Yeah.
But these people know what they were talking about. He studied that. Let me tell you something. He studied it just after a hurricane. And we studied it before the hurricane. They studied every move that was done around here.
So you're in agreement that they shouldn't put it in Red Bay neither, or North Sound?
Well, the North Sound. If you put it in there, they got to dredge the whole North Sound.
That's right.
And what would happen? Every company, they're going to fall down, then they're not going to get back out.
Yeah, that'd be one problem.
That'd be one problem.
And you got conchs as big as sombreros up in Red Bay.
That's true.
I don't know, in 6 feet of water, so I don't know whether we want to mess with that environment up there.
The man has got the only two natural things that causes, it makes oil.
Coconuts?
We studied that for over and over and over from Amoco. They were down here. And I know exactly where they are. And because I seen these people feeding these rocks and stuff. I said to myself, what in the world is this? And Dr. Roberts said, well, here's what happened. That and this is what causes oil. I said, well, how long? He said, another 1,000,000 years. All of this stuff we studied. But these people that come down here, you think they're worried about 7 Mile Beach? I beg your pardon.
Mr. Kem, in your expertise opinion, where would you say is the least environmental? Which area would be the least environmental? Have the least environmental impact if it was to put this sort of a project infrastructure? Where would you say? Would you not say that Georgetown is probably the least?
The least.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Impact would have the least impact on environment on environmental.
No, I wouldn't say that.
Where would you? Because Georgetown's been used forever, and it's like Dave said, anchors have been dropping there forever. It's kind of a more deeper port than it's deeper water than anywhere else that we have touting that we would like this thing to go. Red Bay, North Sound. Wouldn't you say that Georgetown would be the least environmental impact area
no,
to put
I would say that's going to be the most.
How?
So you're thinking the North Sound's better?
I just told you about North Sound.
So where else?
That's no talk.
Well, I can tell you that the Department of Environment themselves, some years ago, I don't have the information on that, but I know they made a statement saying that if it was to have a cruise ship berthing facility, Georgetown would be the best place for it because it would have the least environmental impact.
Okay. I know, Mr. Kem, we always engage you, but if you want to share anything else, I want you to stay as long as you want, but not to belabor it. But
what?
I said I want you to stay as long as it feels comfortable, but I don't want to impose on you any longer than you want us to, right?
No, you can ask me any question you want about out there, my friend.
Okay. All right. Let's have you in there. Let's just pause if you're okay. We'll take a quick break, and then we'll come back to you, and you can join us some more. Okay, sir? Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Water Authority Authority Cayman's Survival Tip Saturday series is back. Throughout the 2018 hurricane season, the Water Authority will be posting helpful preparedness tips on our social media accounts every Saturday. Follow us on Instagram or like us on Facebook to stay informed on how you can prevent damage and minimize danger in the event of a storm. Be prepared, be aware, be safe. This hurricane preparedness tip is brought to you by Water Authority Cayman, suppliers of the world's most popular drink.
We are Radio Cayman, and this is how we wake you up in the morning. Praise time on Radio Cayman.
Sing your praise to the Lord. Come on, everybody, stand up and sing one more. Hallelujah, give your praise to the Lord. We are united in Jesus Christ. We are the soldiers of the Lamb.
Praise time.
Weekday mornings from 6 until 6:30.
There's a meeting up in heaven. Roll call. He's a name in the Lamb's book of life. Roll call, brother, sister. Roll call. If you don't stop shouting, if you don't stop dancing, we're going to put you out of our church.
Praise time.
Jesus in the morning, yeah.
Weekday mornings from 6 until 6:30.
Your song flowed through my lips. Your work moved through my hands. Your thoughts stay on my mind. Live in me.
Radio Cayman, your number one community station, would like to remind you that we are in the hurricane season, and in order to survive a hurricane, you need to be prepared. If officials' sources say a hurricane is imminent, please board up or shutter up windows in your home or place of business. Remember to use good lumber, as makeshift boarding may actually cause more damage. Also put strong bracing on outside doors so that they are not blown off or blown in.
This hurricane advice was brought to you by Radio Cayman, your caring community radio station.
Country classics.
Well, I was born to coal miner's daughter.
On the road again. They're gonna put me in the movies.
Papa Top again.
Out in the West Texas town of El Paso.
Because you're mine, I walk the line.
Well, I love
Country classics.
young love, first love.
You never count your money when you're sitting at the table.
If you enjoy classic country music, come hang out with Radio Cayman this Saturday, 3:30 to 6 p.m.
In the Mississippi cotton picking Delta town.
This Saturday afternoon, following American Country Countdown, 3:30 to 6 on Radio Cayman.
Just walk on by. Wait on the corner.
Country classics.
Talk today.
But I do have some questions.
Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today. In the studio, Sean Ebanks, Dave Miller joins us, gives us a perspective on, from their view on the port. Mr. Cam Jackson, still there, sir?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you very much for joining us.
Another thing that we studied was Stingray City.
Uh-huh.
I know Sean them noticed that sometimes the fan is low. I hear him talking about it's washed away. It goes around Point and Barkas. It goes out through the channel and it runs right down on the outside of the reef and then goes through the big channel and goes Barkas. All of this we studied. So a lot of people call me, want me there tomorrow night, but I don't know who will be there tomorrow night, but they would have to tell me if they can even swim. I don't know. I don't know who they is. Giving you this advice. I mean, not Dave. Boy, I respect them, but we got to try and save what we got. You hear what I say? I am talking about like these big ships. 3 of them small ships bring more than one of them big ones.
The thing about it, Mr. Kim, is that those small ships can soon be other operation. That's what the industry is telling us. They're saying that the smaller ships are going to be replaced with the bigger ships. So we can't continue to cater to the small ones because they're not going to be there soon. They're going to be bigger ships.
How far out are you going to build a dock?
Say that again?
How far out are you going to build a dock?
Mr. Kim, I'm that information. I got it somewhere, but I can't. I don't have it on me right this minute. But it's up there on the government website. All of that is there.
They got dredge.
Very little. They're putting it further out to sea.
That's all it takes. A very little.
Yeah. But you know we dredged when we were moving to Rhapsody, right? You do know that, right?
Nothing.
Well, you know what they did with the material?
Yeah.
They dropped it on the reef.
Yeah.
And what happened to that material?
It gone?
It gone. It
Yeah.
fell off the wall.
Yeah.
Because we're on a mountain, and it's very hard from anything placed on a mountain to go up.
Let me tell you something now. This is another thing I studied. When you put something, you take, like the swamp,
Yeah.
if you got more, whatever you want, peat or more, mud, if you got more peat than you got what you filling it with, like marl,
Right.
you know what's going to happen?
What?
Tell me.
Well, what they do is they take the peat off and then they just put the marl up higher on top of the marl. That's what they've been doing for at least 30 years now.
The most is the one they're going to stay there. The less they're going to disappear.
I know if you do marl, the marl is more dust, but what they're doing now is they're blowing the rock because pretty much 8 feet underneath all of the swamp is all this hard rock that needs dynamite to remove it. And when they grind that down, it actually doesn't move as much as what the marl did. Because I know when I put marl in the foundation of my old house, that when I broke a tile, there was like about 3 inches. There ain't nothing there except air.
But like inland, I'm talking about like the mangroves.
Yeah, that'll all blow away. It's sand or marl.
Whichever one, if it's more marl than the mud, the mud's going to disappear.
Yeah. But I recently found out, too, that the mangroves can actually walk away. They can actually move their roots from one section of a piece of property because it doesn't like whatever is growing on that section and then grows the other way. But the land in the central mangrove is agricultural land, so people are supposed to be able to use it to do agriculture or quarries. That's one or the other. I mean, Cayman would do so much better as agriculture, but which child is growing right now going through a school that's going to learn agriculture or mechanic or carpentry or anything? I mean, everybody's supposed to be a banker, and we're getting less and less banks. I don't know where we're getting all these ideas from, but I'm sure Dwayne will come up with that next talk show.
All right, Mr. Kim, thanks for sharing with us, sir.
I hope that opened somebody's eyes, but poor Bob is gone, so only me.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate your counsel and wisdom, so keep.
Okay. Have a good day.
God bless you. Talk to this one. Gents, we're going to pause for 2 o'clock headlines. When we come back, we can talk more. Ask about the cargo as well. We see that's being thrown into the mix now. So stay tuned for Talk Today.
Radio Cayman. Radio Cayman's newsroom. These are the biggest stories right now.
A 38-year-old woman of North Side was arrested on Saturday, September 22nd, on suspicion of assault causing actual bodily harm and disorderly conduct at a liquor-licensed premises in relation to an altercation outside a bar on Frank Sound Road in North Side involving a man and 2 women who were known to each other. On Monday, another woman, aged 19 of North Side, also suspected to be involved in the incident, was arrested on suspicion of assault causing actual bodily harm, disorderly conduct at the liquor-licensed premises, and damage to property. Both women have been granted bail as investigations continue. Good afternoon, I'm Dion Anglin with your headlines and news elsewhere. U.S. fashion giant Michael Kors has confirmed a $2.1 billion takeover of Versace in a move that has outraged some fans of the Italian fashion house. Creative director Donatella Versace has run Versace since the 1997 murder of her brother Gianni. She called the sale a very exciting moment and said it would allow Versace to reach its full potential. Life expectancy in the UK has stopped improving for the first time since 1982 when figures began. The figures from the Office for National Statistics for 2015-2017 show that women's life expectancy from birth remains 82.9 years. For men, it's 79.2. In some parts of the UK, life expectancy has been decreased. And Instagram has attracted 1 billion users since it was launched in 2010. Now its founders have announced they are quitting the company. Kevin Systrom and Mike Krieger have overseen the app's rapid rise. But what made the idea so successful? And how has it continued to grow? The story, rather fittingly, begins with a picture of a dog. Kevin Systrom's photograph of a stray dog sitting near a taco stand in Mexico is the first image ever shared on Instagram. That's a wrap of your headlines. I'm Dion Anglin.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
What's happening in your community? News and information, music and more. You can find us. www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Radio Cayman is your choice, your voice for today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman. Talk today.
But I do have some questions.
Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back to Talk Today. Thank you for joining us in the studio. Sean Ebanks, Dave Miller joins us. Gents, as we hear from you, we hear from our callers. There's a caller in the queue. Good afternoon and welcome. You're on Talk Today.
Hi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
I didn't get to listen to very much of your talk show today, except when George Gillette and Mr. Ken Jackson came on. I'd like to thank them very much for their input. And I sincerely hope they will be able to attend the meeting tomorrow evening. And I also would like to thank Michelle Lockwood and what's his name again? Mario Rankin for their very, very good input a few days ago when I heard them on the radio. They speak a lot of sense. And talking about all these experts, oh my God, I wish some of these people would stop making some of these people use them to sue pigeons to speak to them. What about the Titanic? They built that with two bottoms and said that wasn't supposed to sink. Wasn't it experts that said that too? What happened to it? Didn't the Titanic sink way out?
There's a new story of the real reason why the Titanic actually sank. It had damage before it even left the dock. The Titanic should have never sank by hitting that iceberg. But you can check it out when you look on the internet. Google it.
Land there, tourists there then, or like George Gillette said, up by Pedro Castle where the water's very deep and they wouldn't have to do any dredging.
Ma'am, you wouldn't have to dredge.
The Caymanians and leaving everything for the tourists. They're supposed to get everything, and Caymanians are not supposed to get everything. So stop making people use your all.
This is about.
This is Caymanians. We're Caymanians. We have a lot of Caymanians that are in this business. They all don't want to come and talk because they're not interested in talking to people who don't want to listen. But there are Caymanians in this business. There's a lot of them. I mean, the Cocarnals are Caymanians. Hamilton is married to a Caymanian. Noel has got family in Caymanians. I mean, taxis and bus drivers are Caymanians. Stingray City people are Caymanians. The people that work at Turtle Farm is Caymanians. The ones that work at Botanical Garden is Caymanians. I mean, I don't know where people get this idea from. They got to stop listening to people who make these stories, these fairy tales. Caymanians are involved in this business. When I talk about 1,500 people involved in this cruise ship business, I multiply it by 4, husband, wife, and 2 kids. That's 6,000 people. That's a lot of people that depend on this industry. What are we going to do? We're going to get our kids coming out of high school and go work at a hotel, a bar, a restaurant? How much are you going to get paid? $6 an hour plus tips? Is that what we're going to be pushing our children for? Well, they're not going to a hotel school. They're going to a school that does academic, to go into a college or a university, become an accountant, a lawyer, business administration, finance. I mean, are we going to have 400 children coming out of high school this coming, season, this next year from the school that are all going to be accountants, lawyers? And I mean, where do we get this idea that we need another high school that's not doing vocational trades?
Okay, hold on. Call is still there? Mom? Hello, Mom? Okay, no, yeah, but Dave, you're right. So with that now, as we're looking at the whole discussion, the design of the port. Now, for those who listen, the government is having a political meeting tomorrow evening at the Family Center, right?
Yeah, Family Life
6
Center,
o'clock?
6:30.
6:30. Okay, so the design of it. Have we seen the design? What is the proposed design of this new facility?
It's pretty much the same thing. The only thing is that they made it in deeper water because they wanted to make everybody happy in Cayman and eliminate the amount of dredging, which was going to be like 50-something acres. They've dropped it down, I think, to about 15 acres of land.
Okay.
But I wanted to bring it up to you, and I was telling you about it earlier about the Rhapsody cruise ship. That was my ship. I went diving on it. They paid me $1,000 to tell them that they were in trouble, and they were on a flat rock. And they had to dredge that boat. Smith Rotterdam was the company that was doing the work back in 1984, and they made a mistake. And they thought that their exhaust line was going over the wall, over the drop-off. And instead, it dropped all of its material in 70 feet of water. At that time, myself and Adrian Briggs was going on a boat to go and rescue or to help find this man who had disappeared off of Northwest Point. And he noticed it, that the exhaust, he says, my God, look at this. They're dropping all this material on top of the reef. I was putting my gear together, and I said, oh, yeah, you're right. I said, boy, what a shame. I mean, how are we going to prove this now? He says, I got a camera. Do you have bottom time? I said, yes, I do. So I dropped over the bottom, 70 feet, and I took the picture, and they put it on the front page of the newspaper. And Parquet Cruises, which owned Rhapsody, lost $1 million bond. Okay? Now, when I came up out of the water, and I said, boy, if you see that pile of marl and sand and silt, because, I mean, it's those dredge boats that grind up everything into dust. So all that material was down there, and I mean, he went to Kearney, who was the principal secretary, and I mean, you had to wait for the picture and all. So about 2 days later, and they're still pumping, because they were pumping 24 hours a day, that material was left there. And I said, the next Northwester, Georgetown is done. That's 1984. This is 2018. Nothing's happened. So what happened to the material? Well, Cayman is a mountain. And so a mountain that has deeper and deeper as you go offshore, so the stuff fell off the area.
All right, let's go back to our phone. Say good afternoon. Welcome. You're on Talk Today.
Good.
Hey, afternoon, my friend. How are you, man?
How you doing? Good afternoon.
Good to hear from you again, man.
Yeah. I like hearing the reminiscing by people who are talking about what it did and what it could have done. But I hope it's one thing they realize about this place, and as the tranquility of this place, right? Or no?
The tranquility and the safety and security.
Is that a question?
Well, how you take a question?
Yeah, I could take it. I want to ask you, how old are you?
How old am I? I'm 50.
Okay. Do you ever go out on the weekends?
No.
So you don't go out to the clubs? You don't go to the bar?
No, sir.
You go to the cinema? You don't go walking around Cayman Bay?
No. Never Cayman Bay.
Do you see any other Caymanians doing those things?
Yeah, I go to the house.
Okay. But, I mean, when you see other Caymanians walking through Georgetown or Cayman Bay or going to the cinema or going to the club, I mean, you see that, right? So they're not really tranquil. They're looking for things to do. I mean, I have 11 children and 15 grandchildren. And I can tell you that my kids are always looking for things to do. And they're always upset about staying home and doing nothing. So this is something that, everybody is going to enjoy and appreciate, when we have more things going on. Have you ever been to Disney World?
Disney World?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. You know that every time you go to Disney World, they're always adding. They're always adding stuff. Right? They're always making it better. Well, that's what we're trying to do here in Cayman. We're trying to add more things and to make things better. I'm 65. I'm going to be dead. I'm going to be dead by 80.
You try and make this into a big Disney World?
No. We're trying to add more activity for Georgetown. Georgetown is dead. Not true? No, but I'm saying Georgetown is dead, right?
Georgetown dead?
Yeah, what do you do in the evening there? Can you do anything there in the evening?
You can't do nothing nowhere here.
So you're saying that we definitely need to add more stuff then? Okay. I agree with that.
No. What I'm saying is that people see this island from afar, right? And they know this is nowhere to dock up on it.
Of course you can dock up on it.
That is something tranquil about the place. If you put a dock there, you just took away our tranquility.
In the time of your great-grandfather, they were building boats, and when that boat was getting ready to launch, everybody came out to look and watch them put that boat in the water.
Yeah, that's because it was nothing else to do.
Okay, so that was a big event. You know what I
That was
used
a
to
big
do when
event.
I was 9, 10 years of age? I used to be on Shedden Road right there by the Merrins, and I would buy firecrackers, and we would light the firecrackers and throw them on the street. 9 o'clock, we'd go home. That was it.
Hold on, sir. They can tell that there's a difference between me and you. And my accent and your accent is nowhere alike. Okay, so you might have different idea about this place. And
But
what
I'm
I have.
Caymanian, son. I'm a Caymanian. All right?
Wow, you're big too.
No, I'm a Caymanian. I'm a Miller.
You're a Miller.
That's right. What are you?
Me?
Yeah.
I'm a McDonald's.
Okay. See what I'm saying? So you're not really proud of your race. You're not proud of your citizenship. I am. I'm Caymanian. And because I have an American accent doesn't change it.
No, I'm just saying that you had different experiences than I had.
Well, what I'm saying to you is that what your father, grandfather, great-grandfather did was to go out. The big thing back in those days was going to church. You know?
Going to church? Yeah.
Go to church in the daytime, then come back again around in nighttime,
my
and walk
grandfather-
through the mosquitoes and all that to get to the church. But that was
My
a big thing.
grandfather had the first bakery in Georgetown.
There you go.
Yeah.
And I bet
Well,
you a lot of people
when I
came
saw
there
it-
and hung out around the place after they bought their bread and the cakes and pastries. And then I'm sure maybe he might have tried some ice cream.
Wasn't there. He was delivering bread.
There you go.
So you were calling to share something. Dave, he's good at engaging as well. Hold on, Dave. Caller, you were sharing?
Yeah, man. Yeah, what I was saying is that once you take away our tranquility, you just depreciated the place. The place just lost its value. Because there's not too much places in the Caribbean that is like this. That it has it, that the boat cannot dock up, you know, and just step off onto a dock. And another question, if you build that dock, I want to know how much or how or when I can go fishing on it. Can I? No.
Can you go fishing on the one we have now?
On the one we have now?
Yeah.
Most likely. Most likely for a few dollars, yeah.
It's a marine park up in there, so I don't know. What? I'm thinking you're trying to get to a point there, but
It's all just a scheme. What's WMB for? Thank you very much.
All right. Appreciate it. We'll take that quick break. It's the final one. And we've got some other callers. If they join us, we'll join them. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Babe, not tonight. I need to be rested for all-day meetings tomorrow.
What are you talking about? I was almost asleep.
You keep poking me, and I can't sleep.
That's the mattress spring I keep telling you about. Not me. We really need to get a new mattress.
Tossing and turning, back hurting, can't sleep? It might be time to turn in your old mattress and go to bed with a new one. Browse the huge mattress showroom at Brand Source Home Gallery and pick the perfect mattress today. With mattresses to suit every budget, Brand Source Home Gallery stocks a wide selection of sizes and styles like Pillow Top and Gel Memory Foam. So stop tossing and turning and sleep better tonight with a new mattress from Brand Source Home Gallery, Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park. Tune in to Talk Today for the Celebrate Cayman giveaway contest. Celebrate Cayman is a national celebration of our culture, history, and community as we commemorate the 60th anniversary of our coat of arms. From August 27th to September 26th, Talk Today will be giving away daily prize bags for our resident history buffs. How well do you really know your Cayman history? Test your skills on Talk Today.
But I do have some questions.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program. Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waging to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back to Talk Today. Thanks for joining us in the studio. Dave Miller, Dwayne Ebanks are our guests as we talk about the port. Gents, a few callers join us again, so let's go to our phones. Welcome, you're on Talk Today.
Yeah, it's me again. There's nobody who can guarantee me 1,000% or 1,000,000% about any expert who can guarantee us that the 7 Mile Beach will not be destroyed. If they go and destroy all that coral that you're talking about, moving and planting somewhere else, I mean, that's garbage, man. and got to move to Balboa too. No expert in the world can guarantee us that they can pay them to tell them and BS to satisfy them so they can get their big dollars. And Sean, you said about Ezra wasn't doing anything talking about doing anything to get the cost of living down. So let me tell you something. Over the last 15 years, everything has exploded with the rich people in Cayman. Where has the cost of living gone down? Can you tell me? Because everything has gone up. Groceries, light bill, water bill, you name it, gasoline, we can't get the price of that down. Everything has gone up. Nothing goes down except when somebody's didn't put the gasket down 60. That's the only thing that goes down.
We had a chance to bring down the price of fuel, but if everybody had jumped on that with Mr. George Ebanks' petition that he was trying to get going in regards to bringing down the price of fuel, if we got behind that, us, the public, got behind that, like how I hear some of the public getting behind this, trying to stop this project, we would get a lot of headways, and Mr. Ezra and them ain't doing nothing to bring down any cost of living. They're trying to stop this project. I really believe that they have an agenda themselves. I don't know what exactly what it is, but he don't seem to understand that 80% or 75% of Caymanians that is in the tourism industry depend on cruise ship revenue. That is our lifeline. That is our lifeline.
Yes, ma'am?
That's like heaven, God coming down to earth and making heaven on Cayman. The cruise ships are always going to come to Cayman when they can't go anywhere else. They're too glad to come
That's
here.
not true.
Cruise ship,
it's
they
not
have
true.
the finance to buy their own islands now. So most cruise shippers, people that take a cruise, is only looking for an island with a nice white sandy beach and crystal clear water. So there's a lot of them around us, those type of islands. And like I said, they have the capacity of buying their own islands, which there's a couple out there that they have already. We don't need to believe, or we should not believe that we don't have to do anything and they're going to continue to come here. I mean, we have a big stake. We're one of the safest places and stuff, and that's what makes us unique. Not the tender ride. What makes us unique is that we have peace and safety here. They can walk around on our streets. They don't have to worry about getting robbed and all this kind of stuff. It's clean. It's friendly. Those are the things that make us unique. The other thing that they don't want is to pay $5 for a Pepsi. Not saying that Pepsi cost, I'm just exaggerating, but I'm just saying the cost of living is what is driving people away. And the stay-over tourism, I feel sorry for them. When I see those people sitting in Burger King, and when they're not sitting there because they love the food there, that's probably because that's all they can afford. Right. If they go to one fancy restaurant for the 4 days that they're here, that's plenty. The rest of the time, they're looking for cheap places to eat and shop and all this kind of stuff. And like I said, if we don't get a grip on the cost of living and crime on this island, and keep it under control, crime, we're going to chase away a lot of tourists.
Right.
Don't Cayman
But should that be a priority for government as well?
Part.
Should that be a priority for government? Crime, cost of living, those things.
Right, and then remember now, this project is going to create over 1,000 jobs.
Right. You still there, Mom?
People.
Cayman is just as bad as Chicago or anywhere else in the world with crime.
It's not that bad yet. Trust me.
Okay. That's all you can hear.
Well, if you when we have
here, and it's a shame. It's because we got too much storms.
When we have
from Timbuktu and all over the world.
When we get hundreds and hundreds of people losing their jobs and their businesses and stuff, I think then we're going to see a big spike in crime, because those same people need to feed their families, and they're going to find ways of doing it. And like I said, this project is all about the little man. It is to me, it's all about the little man.
Right.
And government is doing the right thing in my opinion. It's not often, Mom, that government can create over 1,000 jobs.
Yeah.
Okay, and we have, let's say, like 2,000 people unemployed, so we're cutting unemployment in half.
The more people we bring in here, the more work permit people it is that gets the jobs, not the Caymanians. How many Caymanians got jobs?
Tell Ezra then. Tell Ezra to work on that then.
No, he will work on it. It's a good damn thing we got him and many more in there.
Anything else you want to share with us, Mom? Okay. All right, go try the other line. Welcome, you're on Talk Today.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon, sir. How are you today?
And afternoon to your guest.
Afternoon, Amjad.
Yes, I just want to comment on this dock issue. It's old thing come back in you now that, this fight is between two sides. The first side is the business shop, Kirkconnell's, Tortuga, name it. All of these shop people, they want fighting to build a dock because they want the business for their shop. And the last study says that there is 100 cruise ships are building now. Only 15 of them will be carrying more than 5,000 or 4,000.
Do you want me to explain that to you, Amjad?
Just please let me finish. So all of this fight, and the other side, the opposition, Mr. Izzard and whoever he is, in that side, they are fighting for the tenders.
Exactly. Thank you.
I am fair. I always tell the truth. I not care no who upset of me, who don't upset. That's their matter. So this side are fighting for the shop, and this side fighting for the tenders. And there is no consideration of the Caymanian people at all about this idea of jobs and all of that. If the government solved 22,000 people problem to find a job, work permit, foreigners, including every foreigner in this island, they solve their problem to get a job, but they can't solve 2,000 Caymanian problem to find a job. So that is a failure government. And then the minister of tourism trying his best to build the dock in Georgetown to serve his, we know who he serving, which purpose is the business people. Not just including Kirkconnell, Chris Kirkconnells and those, Robert Hamati, and everyone who have business in Georgetown. And I not shy to mention anybody name. And the other side, the opposition is serving this man whoever responsible about the tender.
Amjad, what's your point?
This fight, can you please let me finish?
I know, but I want you to get to a point because we only have so much time. You're getting close to the ending time here. So what's your point? You already said everything that everybody already knows. So what's your point?
It's not about the Caymanian people.
It is about the Caymanian people. Next point.
It is about the business people, owners of the shops.
They're Caymanians. Every one of them has a passport that says Cayman Islands on it. What's your next point?
What? It's not about the poor person, the poor individual. You know how many people sleeping in the street in Georgetown?
I agree, but they need a job, right? So this is a way of making a job. If this is not the way to make a job, you tell me, Amjad, how you suggest how we make a job, right? What job should we offer to people, Caymanian people? What job would you like to see happen?
What job?
Yeah, what job should be offered?
I like to see those hotels around the development before they promise the Caymanian people jobs and they're not given. You go Red Carlton, you find 10 Caymanians? No. You go Kempton, you find 10 Caymanians? So why the people develop in this country to employ?
Yeah, but Amjad, you might find no Caymanians in those two places you just said, but there's a lot of Caymanians that are employed in the tourism industry, especially in the cruise sector. We have hundreds and hundreds of people, and by extension, their families means thousands of people, Amjad. So
right.
I don't think you're absolutely correct with that. This project is all about the small man, and giving them more opportunity to better their business and start new business, bring new people into the industry. Even yourself, you got a lot of land up in East End. Maybe you can start an attraction up there. Who knows? The possibilities are huge.
Any final thoughts, sir? So we can take the other callers as well.
This project, the dock in Georgetown, only for the rich people. It's not going to benefit.
I'm not rich, Amjad, and you know that.
I am not saying about you or about...
Well, there's thousands of me, so, let's keep to the point.
All right, let him finish his point, Mr. Dave.
Yeah,
right.
I'm not speaking about your guest. I not meant your
Yeah,
guest.
yes, sir. No, we understand that. Yeah.
There is a bigger fight between two sides, and both of them rich, and the poor man in the street is suffering every day. People sleeping in cars, and it's not the fight about poor people. It's the fight between rich people, the tender and the shop people.
All right. Let's take these last two calls, I believe. Good afternoon. You're on Talk Today.
Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Afternoon, sir. How are you?
Afternoon.
George Ebanks. Just calling in to give my unwavering support for the port.
Thank you, George.
I'm a Toastmaster in the social scene when I go to my public speaking club. But one of the things that we practice there is that we give critiques, and we give recommendations and then commendations. The only thing that I think that we could do right now that I wish we would do is try to spend some money to improve the current enjoyment of tourists who comes here with our present facilities. I think that we're lacking with trying to find ways and means to make their little coming ashore a little more pleasant. Right. Not only coming ashore, but going back on the ship. I mean, standing in the sun for 2 hours and 3 hours is not a lot of fun. But that's only the drawback which I see right now. But in terms of the port and the way forward, it has my unwavering support. Listen, we have a country here that without any problems, it doesn't have to overheat to do it. It produces $630 million a year in revenue. The country itself could fund this port on its own if it really was to come down to that. But this port is not being funded by us.
But George, respectfully, that revenue that you reference is now being divided up amongst many things, from education to healthcare, to infrastructure projects. So we cannot divert it all to one thing, whether it's education or healthcare.
No. What I'm saying, we have a country that has a wherewithal that if you were to sort of gear it to whether it could be funded, it has the wherewithal that could stand the litmus test. But
that gearing you're talking about, I mean, not to get into an economic argument, but that gearing is such that now that we're seeing the use of those funds. I mean, we're talking about 80%, 85% of each dollar being allocated.
Yeah, but Dwayne, I'm not saying that that's even being done. I'm saying that the cruise ships are going to fund it. It's a finished product which is going to which will be presented to the country.
No, I'm not talking to that part. I just wanted to reference the section of the gearing.
They have a stake in it. It's fully funded, and it's going to create 1,000 odd jobs. It has the ability to add to our infrastructure. We will get it back one of these days. At the end of the day, we have to move forward with business opportunities for both the country in terms of infrastructure development and services, and cater to what's going on in the real world. We really can't be looking back to say, well, we wish that we still had the mosquitoes and that kind of stuff. Yeah. We have to move forward. One of the biggest dredging projects that we had in Cayman, and I could be wrong, was Jean Doucette in the Snug Harbor, Governor's Harbor.
That's true.
And when that was being done, everybody was saying that the island was going to fall down dead. And now, for not only now, but for many years back, you could go there and fish from the banks of Snug Harbor, Governor's Harbor, and catch some good fish. And as you know, there are many Caymanians that have some wealthy homes there. It's a first-class development.
Absolutely.
So, you really can't go by knee-jerk reactions all the time to say, well, it's going to create a little bit of current flow here and there. So we have to abandon it and just let the cruise ships come in and let the people take 4 hours to get off a ship and different things like that. It has my support. That's all I wanted to say. I'll be coming to the meeting tomorrow night to give my as well.
All right, thank you. One final call, I believe, and gents, you can share your thoughts. Hey, good afternoon. Welcome. You're on Talk Today.
Hi. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
I got to tell you, I'm a little disappointed in the panel. I know a couple of these gentlemen personally, and I think what I'm most disappointed of, and not only the panel, but with some of the callers, is that why would anyone actually think that anyone just questioning what's going on with the port, it's a knee-jerk reaction? That's rather insulting, okay? And I also don't understand, why are you guys getting so upset with people expressing their opinion? Do we not have a right to express our opinion, or do we just now have to go ahead with projects irregardless of the impact or not. You keep saying, someone also mentioned, we want to keep our tourism packet, that they don't necessarily have to come here because we only offer the beach, and many places can do that. You got that is there, right there is the key point. There's nothing unique about Cayman, okay? So therefore, when people are coming, no matter how they're arriving on our shores via airplane or by cruise ship, what are we offering them? Downtown is falling apart. It looks about the same as it did when I was 15 years old, except for the nice pretty paint on the front of the building. Okay? So to me it's like I am not for or against the port, but I am for conversation, debate, intellectual communication, not knee-jerk reaction that for some reason people are thinking, how can you think that this is people's heart? And I do not for 1 second believe when people tell me, because all of a sudden I'm hearing about jobs. Since when? Because the taxi drivers are out there struggling, hustling every day. That can't be the type of job you're talking about. Who now is going to be allowed to sell merchandise there now? How much will their rental be? Just like the airport. When are the duty-free stores going to open? Is that going to be available for the average person? Do not use terms like knee-jerk reaction. Do not think that people who are questioning this, and finally Cayman is waking up, we have every right to question everything. We should have been asking questions a long time ago and not be shut down. We have so many projects that have been started. Are they going to start the port and stop it like they did with the schools? We have so many unfinished things. And then when you have something that could actually, yes, it could affect the tourism. It could affect the tourism positively and negatively. So we do have to weigh the consequences. Nor do I believe that when the project was started, I do believe due diligence was done. I am not saying that studies were not done because I see that they were done. However, we really have to, yes, we have to listen to the experts. We also have to listen to those who just have common sense about the sea life, marine life, the flow of the tides and everything else. Some of these things are gained by knowledge by books, and some of these things are gained by knowledge and experience. We cannot chuck aside the information that our local people have. These people have, they've lived in the sea, they understand the sea. We cannot chuck that aside for the so-called experts who are going by graphics and predicting this and predicting that. We cannot chuck away our good old Caymanian common sense either. Okay? So yes, I commend your panel for their opinion as well, but we also have to commend both sides for everybody finally willing to have a conversation. Look at when the conversation is. And unfortunately, it is at the point where they seem to be ready for the project. I'm just tired of all these projects started and unfinished.
Right.
We have to see something through. And I would prefer that they finish the education. I would prefer, obviously, they finish the schools. I'd prefer that they open a vocational school so that we could actually have people that then could repair the ports and repair the boats that are actually local people. The 1,000 jobs, I would like to know the statistics on how many actual Caymanians are working, Caymanians, either by status or whoever, that are working in the actual tourism industry per hotel. That's what we need to see. Because are these people going to get jobs at the port? No. How many Caymanians are working in fast food? How many Caymanians are working? Are we really protecting them? Are we really going to have jobs for them? We can't guarantee that. We cannot guarantee anything. But we have to use our common sense. We do not want to destroy what makes us unique, and that is our pristine beaches that once were safe. Now I'm even scared to go there alone. Okay? We're not protecting the Caymanian people just like we're not protecting the reef. We have to do better.
I thank you. Anything final, Mom? All right, great.
No, I think I'm good.
All right, thanks very much. Gents, I invite you for your final thoughts. Who wishes to go first?
I'll go first.
All right.
I think that she makes some good points on it. I would like to, know why a lot of projects don't get finished and stuff like that. And I would like to have Caymanians working. And I think the vocational school is the right way to go. I don't think it should be in Georgetown. But, there's some things that, we just can't get away from this change. We don't want to change. And that's where we run into all of these negative vibes and feelings, and we just go on and just make statements without any kind of thought, really, when you think about some of the things that we've heard already this afternoon. We are going to grow in population. We can't stop it. We are going to have schools that are not benefiting anybody, as we already know. I mean, I've gone to banks and talked to people that work in the bank, and they can't even, multiply 8 times 1. But at the end of the day, the cruise ship facilities is needed. And why is it needed? It's going to help Caymanians have a life that is going to be better than working at a hotel, a bar, or a restaurant. So this is an opportunity that doesn't really take a lot of education. You got to know how to drive, and you got to have a nice attitude, and you got to be able to joke a little bit and take a lot of abuse sometimes. But you're going to make a lot more money than what you would do working at these other jobs. So why not push this idea? We're not going to destroy the beach. We're not going to destroy the sand. We already have several reports saying that. And if one will even look at what Royal Watler is, Royal Watler is a slab of cement, and it's been pushed out to the sea. Did it destroy the sea? Did it destroy the beach? No, it hasn't destroyed anything. And so we're going to go a little bit more out with the same thing and then drop pilings. Those pilings are going to create fish and coral and sponges and all kinds of other life that you could easily have seen if you just go on YouTube and, pick up a dock somewhere in the world that has warm water and see that everything is working well. A good place that you can try is Cozumel. Cozumel has 3 different piers. They have dive shops at the end of the piers. They have people diving there when it's no ship there. They do it daytime, nighttime. So the fallacy or the mediocre attempt of trying to say that the sand is going to go away is not true. We have the Baird report. We had the Seymour report. These reports, are telling you by scientists that it's not going to be affected. Okay? So I'll let that go to Sean.
I just want to say that, tourism, cruise tourism, injects over $200 million into our economy. We have cruise tourism makes up 80% of Cayman overall tourists coming here. If anyone looking at those numbers, anyone can't say that cruise tourism is a major part of our tourism industry, and we must do what we need to do to stay competitive in that and to enhance the passenger experience. I don't know where they're coming from with that, but certainly there's many questions that people are looking answers for. There's a lot of people is running on assumptions and emotions, and I would just say that maybe we all need to come out to this meeting tomorrow night and hear the facts, because that's where the facts will be presented, and that's what we have to go by.
All right, gents, thanks very, very much for sharing.
Thank you too,
with
Dwayne.
us, and
appreciate it.
Hopefully, we'll get you on again, or other your colleagues. As Sean shared, the government is having a political meeting tomorrow, evening 6:30 at the Palm Life Centre. We have members scheduled to be on a show tomorrow from 1 o'clock onwards to talk about that as well. And hopefully, as the dialogue continues, we can have meaningful, constructive discourse. Right? But thanks very much. Enjoy your afternoon. Sean, enjoy the turtle. You were supposed to bring some. And to our listeners, come back tomorrow morning. It's going to be Wednesday. Wednesday, start the day off with For the Record with Mr. Art. Come back for Talk Today, as we shared a few things in store, including a discussion report with members from the government. Until then, be blessed.
Thank you.
Shaken yet standing firm. This is Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.